catching a reflection in the mirror of something standing in the corner of my room, watching me, observing me. Is it my imagination or insanity? A strange hum, a flash of light. I'm overcome, nothing but fright. Otherworldly beings taking me in the night. I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Looking at my hand, there's something there. Inside of me, I'm feeling oh so scared. Confusion and nasty fear. It wasn't just a nightmare. So loud, so bright, hypnotizing me figures lost in time. I'm tortured, surrounding me tonight. I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Where are they taking me? Others dwelling in me. Where are they taking me? Anxiety rising. Was it just in my head? Paralyzing panic. Was it just in my head? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head?
Dreaded flag, a vengeful sea. Be careful what you say. There's always someone listening. The Dutchman tossed on the sea. I swore and the devil heard me. Now we're doomed to sail the seven seas for eternity. So yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must tow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. A sinister grin across his face said, you'll be doomed to this place. The devil heard my oath, shame of my boast. Oh, a ghostly ship from the depths, freedom from fear is the only gift of death. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must tow. We sail through them, us like those before. We're an omen of the ocean night. When you see the Flying Dutchman, it's too late for your soul. To the waters we gave now our grave. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. Yo, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo, let the ocean wind blow.
Who's holding my hand in the darkness? Seeing ghosts down the hallway. There's a presence, bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me. Cold hand touching me. Fear overwhelming me. Tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes. A breath on my neck. Floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on. I wake up paralyzed. Ghostly apparition hovering over me, asking what it wants to know. I'm shaking now, it calls out my name, cloaked and haunting me. Cold hand touching me. Fear overwhelming me. Tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes. A breath on my neck. Floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on. I wake up paralyzed.
Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. And this is PRT. So, odd thing tonight, we have nothing planned. Nothing. Absolutely zero. I wasted my time today doing something. I say wasted my time. I mean, I get to meet some interesting people, but I didn't get anything accomplished like I should have, or I wanted to. Let's put it that way. So here I am. Being brutally honest. Just did not get things done today. I was out all day, didn't accomplish a damn thing. Sometimes, you ever feel like that? You're out all day, and then you come home and nothing's correct. That's what happened to me today. But maybe I figured something out. I don't know. Maybe I figured something out about myself and the situation that I have to deal with.
I might be able to put myself on here too. The extra camera.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay.
But it's a Saturday, and we committed to doing the Saturdays, and here we are. Normally on Saturdays we do the UAP thing. And so here we are. But we have a lot of stuff, a lot of stories that haven't been told. A lot of stuff in the chamber. I just don't want to eat up tomorrow's show, which honestly I haven't had a whole lot of time to put into, but I've had more than tonight's. I had a guy for tonight, and he's not responding. Yeah, I was out in the heat today. It was, and I've already done a lot of talking today, so I'm like, but let's see what we can do. So this will be an open mic, I guess. If anybody wants to call in, or you want to tune in, join in. Let me know. We can talk about something. Just give me some direction, and we'll talk about encounters. Last night we ended up talking with Boomer. He came on with myself and Abe and Monica and Joe. And we chopped it up pretty good. We chopped it up, and we talked about ghosts, a little bit of Dogman. So we're here. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Any vampire stories? Yes, but actually I'm hanging on to a couple of the ones that we got so that we can use those. There's Anthony.
Yeah, there's 2 cameras set up on StreamYard. It's kind of different. So we're just gonna. Oh, I don't need these.
Yeah. Let me grab something real quick.
I wish we could switch the cameras same way we do on Streamlabs, but StreamYard doesn't let you do that.
Each one has its drawback.
Yeah, I think there's a way that we can switch the cameras the same way we do on Streamlabs, like with the Sunday shows. But you need a piece of equipment that's like really expensive. Well, I mean, we can get it, but it's still like it's not cheap, which doesn't make sense because it's a simple piece of equipment. It's just like I think it's like you plug 2 cameras into this one like box, and it's got a switch on it, and you can switch between which camera is the active one. But either way, I'm gonna look into doing that so we can do that with StreamYard. Oh, and see, I can't turn my camera off like that. So when I'm picking my nose, y'all have to just see it.
Yeah, they just got to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize in advance. I'm a big picker. I like looking for boogers out in the woods and in my nose.
A nose picker?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually seen you pick your nose. So you do it in private, but now you can't help yourself, right?
Yeah. I feel a strong urge to pull a comment straight out of my head.
Your little brother. He's got 3 of them. I'm not gonna say which one. Pretty sure you know which one. One of them.
This camera. Here we go.
When he was a kid, he would pick his nose until it bled.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the hell is wrong with this kid? He'd be looking right at you and just.
Yeah, we all had our own weird things that we would do. We were like disturbed in our own ways. I remember watching like a home video of like, I think it was like my 5th birthday party at Mr. Gaddy's, like that old Mr. Gaddy's in Taylor where the back was the arcade room, and like there's like a clown and he's entertaining everybody, and I hear like this grunting, like this aggressive like animalistic grunting in the background, and then the camera turns and it's like me doing that for no reason. Maybe I hated the clown. I don't know why I was.
You didn't like clowns because I remember your aunt had a clown in the doll.
I mean, I slept in that clown room though. It didn't bother me. Maybe I just didn't like that guy. Maybe he went to jail for something like really bad, and I just maybe he's still in jail and I just don't know it. So
we have some Dogman stuff that we didn't get to finish. And of course, we got a couple of Bigfoot stories. My mind is a little frazzled right now. So, sorry, folks, if I'm a little off.
It's been a hectic week.
It's been a very, very rough week. My partner Marty's in the hospital, pneumonia, and things just keep getting worse and worse. And every time we turn around, we're getting kicked in the freaking teeth. Keep pushing on, man. Okay. So if anybody wants to jump on and talk about stuff, let us know. We can.
I mean, if we really want to mix it up and just kind of take what comes our way, we can just post the StreamYard link in the chat. But I mean, then anyone can join.
So be it.
All right.
Roll the dice. It's either that or we do tomorrow's show tonight. I think if I didn't have so much going on in my mind right now, I could probably just. I got one story sitting right in front of me, but it's not done. I mean, like, I have not finished talking to these people. I'm supposed to talk to 3 different. Well, I don't have to talk to them, but 2 others are supposed to give me a verification on this with emails, which I have not gotten. But what I did get so far is pretty promising. I think it's kind of interesting too, because this one, it's about a flying humanoid with a wolf's head. And somebody, you know how we were talking about, was it Durango? No, what was it? Where were we at? What part of Mexico were we at?
That was, no, that wasn't Durango. Durango was the Minotaur story.
But the devil lives in Durango, yeah. which we really need to be renamed, because people don't know that that's what that is. That Minotaur, they think that it's some sort of devil. Well, that's not what that is. That's actually a Minotaur story.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a misname. Usually you do pretty good with the naming. But
name it like Minotaur of Durango or something.
Yeah.
Mexico's Minotaur.
Mexican.
Why didn't I think of that at the time?
Mexican Minotaur.
Yeah.
Or the Minotaur lives in Mexico.
Well, I would call it Mexico's Minotaur, because we don't know that Minotaur is that he identifies as Mexican.
Yeah, and he could just identify as an inner earthling.
Yeah, and we don't want to get his pronouns or his anything wrong, because then he could sue us.
We don't want to assume anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is sort of open lines. I got another ghost story. I mean, but we did a bunch of ghosts last night, and Boomer came on and told. Boomer's story about the people in the bar was freaky. I've heard that twice. Like, he's told that story to me personally, and then I've heard him tell it before. Yeah. So I already knew that story, but that's a good one. Like, I mean, he really freaked him out. You know, the first time he told me that story, that I heard it, it was really.
Yeah, Boomer is good at relaying details of stories.
Mm-hmm. He's good. So somebody says here, we'll just jump right in. It says Tommy Gunn says flying wolf or a bat squatch. No, I wish Barton would come on and tell that bat squatch story. He's good with the same thing. The guy hasn't finished giving it all.
Yeah,
into him. But no, this thing had a wolf's head. And there again, this was in
let's see what
Monterrey.
Episode that was, because we covered that. Or we covered.
We haven't covered this one. I just got this one.
We covered one like this.
Where the guy's name is Vernon, and I thought, how many Mexican people from Mexico do you know named Vernon?
Yeah, it's like a Mexican guy named Kevin.
Yeah, But you know they exist. I
Todd.
knew a Nicaraguan guy named Irvin.
Lance Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Or
you don't hear that name very often.
Chet Vasquez.
But his name was Vernon. Vernon Hico.
No, we covered
Maybe that's a fake name. I don't know. But that's the guy's name that gave me the story. Said I could use his name. Of course, it's okay to use somebody's name if it's fake.
Yeah.
They give you a fake name. Yeah, you can use it. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
It was. I called it Winged Werewolves and Slithering Dogmen of Mexico, episode 236. It's where we first covered something similar to that.
Yeah.
To what you just talked about.
So then I got another weird story about a guy who was on a train. And this one happened here in Texas. And he was going through West Texas, middle of the night, and it was a passenger train. And he looked down at his watch. Well, actually, this is a secondhand story because this story wasn't him. This story happened to his grandfather, and it happened to his grandfather back in the 1930s. And this man that told me this story. He's up there in years. He's 65 years old, or I'm sorry, no, he's 62. But his grandfather back in the 30s was on a passenger train and saw something very weird. So, and then we could go down the rabbit hole of people seeing things on trains. I have another one from somebody that gave me one in Ohio. No, was it Ohio? Think. Where was it from? Where was it at? It wasn't Ohio. Oh God, there's another story. What other state starts with an O? It's not
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma? No, that's not it. So it wasn't an O. Idaho.
Oh, okay. Close.
Because the O at the end, it threw me off. Now, this guy told me a story, and it was very interesting and very intriguing. But I don't want to get a whole show just about people seeing things on trains, But I mean, that's, it's weird. So we got a lot of different stuff. And then I got another one. Oh, did you see? I know you look through the emails sometimes. Did you see the Flaming Dogman one? The one that was like, it was.
I don't think I saw that one.
Dude, oh my gosh. Tony, I think, pointed that one out to me. So I haven't gotten to flesh it out, but it was literally, this guy saw like fire, a portal of like fire, and these beings that came out of it were like black, like coal, but they lit up. And they looked like werewolves, charred, black with I haven't got the whole story.
Yeah, you gotta.
It just said something like detastic or something. I don't remember the guy's handle, but it was, and he's like, check this out. He goes, this happened to me and my little brother. We were kids. Sad. From what I read of that one too, they ended up being in a foster care, and they got separated, and then they got reunited after like 12 years. But the house it wasn't a house. It was a really bad apartment in Chicago that they lived in. And when they were kids, they saw that. Anyway, that's going to be a crazy story to retell, but I just got to breeze through it. I didn't get to really I just kind of just read real fast through it. Haven't talked to them. And then we got tomorrow's stories, but I want to save those for tomorrow. So, I don't know. Anything sound interesting?
I like to hear that train story.
The train one was pretty good. We'll tell that one for sure.
So I've always thought about I've never actually taken like a long train trip, but it's just cool to me, the concept of like seeing the country like on a train, because you're going into parts of the country that like nobody else goes to except someone on a train.
Yeah.
Because those train tracks go through places where there's no roads, just like out in the middle of nothing.
Somebody's dog was named Boomer.
Or something.
Psyche Awakens. Oracle says, Wolf, how about my shape-shifting Hyoga story? Do you want to tell it? because you can come on.
Yeah, come on and tell it. The link's in the chat. The link is I just posted it, and then it's pinned at the top of the chat too.
Gene says, I rode a train when I was 7. It was fun.
I only rode one when I was in Durango, not Mexico, Colorado. Oh, it was so beautiful.
I can tell that the flying dog-headed creature one tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can just do that one tomorrow. So we only have 270 people in the chat. We'll let it fill up a little bit more before we start. Thank you, Ridge Runner, for those gifted memberships. That's going to help because tomorrow people are going to want to be able to enter into the giveaway. So if you buy your membership, you'll be entered into the giveaway tomorrow. A Scorpion? Is this Scorpion? Scorpion, you there? What the heck is he doing?
Watch him be here by accident, and he's like,
No, he's not even. He checked out. So,
oh, Scorpion, what are you doing?
thought he was.
He probably was trying to moderate and click the link by
He
accident or
probably
something.
did. Is Scorpion in the chat?
Big old sausage fingers.
That would be D. With the sausage finger. him and Mike Tooley.
It could have just been someone using his
They're the
name
biggest
to come on and say a bunch of-
fingers I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, dude.
They
Tooley's got like
look like hot
these
dogs.
party sausage fingers, dude.
So we have someone on here named Nick. Let's see what Nick has to say. At least somebody would jump on here.
There we go.
All right. So Nick, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How's it going, guys?
How's it going?
Awesome. So I got a oh geez. I'm doing great.
Get the sound up a little bit.
Do I gotta pause my sound? Probably.
No, I think we got it.
Cool.
Have I gotten your story before or not?
No.
Okay, cool. This is new then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can everyone hear Nick? Okay.
Have I gotten your story before or not?
No.
Yeah, turn it down because you can hear us talking or whatever.
Yeah. I just turned it off my TV there.
Okay.
Okay.
So no, I've been watching you guys. I mean, ever since before your show started, really. And basically, the one I've got for you is something. It's what made me realize things are different than we've been told.
Hey, Nick, do you have a microphone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hello.
yeah, get close to it because we can hear it.
All right, how about this? Any better?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
A little better.
So, yeah, basically, I've got what made me realize things were different than we've been told.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's just me and my dog here in my trailer, and this is like probably 3 years ago, and I go to get her some treats over here in a shelf that's up in the air. And when I opened it, I had those, like, the Chinese, the stress balls that ding in a little box. So I've got those, and they're over here. They're actually my son's. He doesn't live with me. And for some reason, I go to get her a treat, and I open up the box, and the balls are missing. And I'm like, that's strange because they haven't been touched in a couple of years, probably. And I'm looking around, I'm like, man, it's only me and the dog. Like, it drove me crazy all day long. And I was like looking around, and basically the long story short is later on when I went to leave that night on my motorcycle, I went to put my boots on. And when I picked up my boot went ding ding, and that ball was inside my boot. And then
How do you think that happened?
I don't know, but I'm glad that it was something just playing around. I can tell you that.
Is this one of several things that have happened?
They've happened since, yeah. And but that was the first one. And then, needless to say, when I picked up my other shoe, it was inside the tip of that one too.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of a journey, quite an interesting journey. And now, I mean, I don't do anything or tell anybody my stories, but I ask every single person, especially police officers. I ask them all, talk to them for hours, get interesting stories like things spiraling and going into a book, and then them closing a book. Yep.
Wow.
The police officer in the town next to me was telling me how he saw a Wendigo. He goes, "You know what a Wendigo is?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, you're really telling me this right now?" Yep.
How did he describe it?
He described it as being 10 foot tall and walking across the road, which is the town I grew up in, walking across the road in front of him. And then how he had went back to the police station and he went to tell one of the officers there. He's like, "Look, I think I just saw a Sasquatch run across the street." The guy goes, "No, that wasn't a Sasquatch. It was a Wendigo." And then
he just described a 10-foot tall creature. There was no
this is what he
description.
described to me, yeah, that he saw. And he more got that it was a Wendigo from the other officer. He saw it on two different roads too, across the street. What's really crazy is, so a kid that I grew up with was telling me a couple of weeks before, he goes, "Dude, have you heard that there's been in the town in Massachusetts?" He's like, "You hear that they've been seeing Wendigos?" And I'm like, "Dude, I haven't heard that," but he's telling me because of that. And then this officer happened to tell me later on, a couple of weeks later. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty interesting. Now, I mean, from what I get, Wendigo could be anything from like some antler thing to whatever it could be. You know what I mean? So, could be anything. But this is what I was told by him. So it's pretty neat. And I saw you guys. Yeah. Go on.
So when you saw this, like, did you see anything like that?
I didn't see anything. It just this was just in my trailer here. I live in a trailer to like travel, and it's only me. No one came in and like took those the Chinese stress balls out and put them in my boots. There was nobody. It's just,
I know. And you move them in your hand, like
yeah, right.
And they make a noise. Yeah, I have some.
Yeah, and I didn't even actually think of it, but one of my buddies was like, "Dude, it's because I got him at like a flea market." He's like, "Someone probably had a lot of energy in him." So that's a decent theory behind it. So, and I've got a lot from you guys, and I appreciate it. So I saw you, and I said, you know what? I'll give these guys a call and tell them, what changed me. So,
and since then, you've had other things happen to you.
Yeah, I've had a couple different things happen to me.
You want to talk about it, or?
I could, yeah. There was a guy that had murdered two blonde girls when I was living in an apartment building, and it was right next to us. And their spirits ended up. It's a pretty in depth, like tricky story, but in fact, I would have called and told you some other time, but I'm like, you know what? My story would be one of those ones where you're like, wait a second, you're at the beginning, you're at the end, you're at the middle, because it's one of those things. You know what I mean, Josh? Like that's sometimes when people are telling them, I don't know completely how to tell them, other than these two girls died. The girl that I was living with was having dreams about being in a bathtub full of blood. And after this, I mean, and you can ask me questions and I can just answer them. But after this, basically, these spirits, it was two girls. I could sense it, and they were telling guys, not me, but guys that would come into the apartment. They would tell them to leave. And these guys who don't believe in anything at all, and they're like, "Dude, this thing's telling us to like get out of here, get out of here." And so me and this girl, basically, I went to the church, got some holy water. I used like my aunt's cross and stuff, and but I believe that I helped these things across, both of us. We basically said like, you don't need to be here and stuff like that. And they'd been murdered and they were there for a while. The whole place stunk. It was pretty extreme. And yeah, So there's no doubt to me. I mean, their spirits were in there. They were stuck, and they were. I didn't know what I was doing, but I know that I never wanted to screw with any of that, and yeah, it was pretty. It was definitely a different feeling completely when I don't know if you can still. Yeah, it was a different feeling completely. Well, the whole thing was a different feeling, but it was pretty neat and the light feeling when they left, and something stayed there too. There was something bad. There was something bad there. Yeah.
So someone was murdered.
Two girls. Yeah.
And then you had a female roommate that was dreaming about it.
Yeah, she was having dreams about this. It took him probably 2 weeks to find these girls that were there because this guy had left. And I did see him after too. Yeah, he came back. He came back to that apartment building like a couple weeks later, and I saw him.
That's crazy. When we were doing this one apartment complex, it was probably 2008 or something like that. I think it might have been 2009. We had a guard who he ended up dying of cancer, but I ended up going to his funeral and doing the eulogy. But he found a suitcase with the woman's body in it at one of the complexes we were doing. And it was, they had taken it. I think they had taken it and thrown it into the pool. Like it was floating.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. And when he first saw it, he just wrote down, because, it's not our job to clean up the pool.
Yeah.
So he just wrote down, suitcase or whatever in swimming pool, lawn chair or something that was also thrown in the swimming pool. But that suitcase it was either pulled out or something, and it was Edward Ibata.
Yeah.
And it was either pulled out or I can't remember but he was telling us when he opened it, what he saw. I don't even want to repeat it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But that happened years ago. It was at one of our really bad apartment complexes that we were doing. I never worked that site or that route, but I just remember him doing that route. So there'd been some really messed up things. And then there was one complex where we were working where a woman had died. She had OD'd. She smelled crack. Let's put it that way. And she had OD'd, and then the smell was so bad that the neighbors had called. And so I was standing probably 7-8 feet from the door when they opened it. And the smell hit me like.
Same here. Right.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah, that's a serious smell. That's what I ended up calling. It's funny that the girl that was with me, she just texted me actually while I'm talking to you. And I had never talked to her. And if you want some time too, I'll call and give you the whole story about because it's the guy that killed the two girls actually killed the guy who lived in that apartment first.
Oh wow!
Huh.
Yeah,
a real winner.
So he was like a serial killer or a mass murderer.
I'm not sure, but I know that it gets something strange because the police in the town it got covered up. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen these things doing security, but this is all strange to me. I can tell you that. Because I called and I was like, "There's something going on," and had the janitor guy came. I'm like, "Look, you either have sewage that's flowing on the ground or a dead body," and we went down and he opened up the door right next to us. Yeah. And
there was a guy that had relayed a story to me. And it happened during the Guatemalan Civil War, and it was like in the 10th year. This is a war that went on for 30 years. And so after the 10th year or something like that, his family had fled, and he became an adult. And so he went back to fight against the communists in the South, what they had done and how they had taken over entire, parts of the country. And he said the first time when he was a kid, he was telling me the first time when he was a child, he had walked from his village where they had killed a bunch of people. And so him and his sister and his other sibling, it wasn't a sibling, it was cousin, but they had fled, and he was the oldest. He was like 11 or something. They were little, like 6 and 5. And they had to run. They had to run to the nearest village, which was, and he said that as he neared the next village over, where he had a lot of family, it was all on fire. And he told me, he says, it smelled like somebody was cooking good food. You know, sad because he was so hungry. They had been hungry. He said we hadn't eaten in 4 or 5 days. It was pretty common because the rice and beans and things, the communists would cut it off and wouldn't let them have it.
Right.
So they were trying to starve everybody into submission, and the government was in shambles. And so, you know, he was ducking and dodging, going down into the, you know, ditch whenever they'd see a truck or something, because you didn't know who was good guy, who was a bad guy, whatever. And so, what is it?
Imagine.
But anyway, it was crazy because he said that when he smelled, like when he got a few kilometers away, he could see the fire and whatever, and he could smell, you know, what smelled like somebody was cooking meat, but it was from the people and the animals that had been lit on fire. And so, you know, he's like, I felt ashamed, you know, being, you know, that thinking, you know, I said, but you were a kid,
Right, right.
There was human flesh that was being cooked. You just thought
especially
it was like,
when you're starving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were mentioning that in yesterday when you were talking human flesh and food.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, and when you stop and you get some of these stories, like there was a guy in Nicaragua, like I was just mentioning a dude that I knew from Nicaragua I used to work with, but there was this other guy that gave me a story from Nicaragua, and his nickname was Rolo. And I don't know how he got that nickname, but he used to work downtown, and I was friends with him for years. He's a big, stocky dude. And it was in the early days of MMA when there was no money in it.
Yeah.
You know, you could fight and anybody going to pay you. It wouldn't,
Yeah, they just fight for the sake of fighting.
back in the 90s, man, and it was just like you're just beating the hell out of each other for a couple $1,000 maybe, you know.
Yeah.
But he was a tough guy. He was one of the early brawlers in MMA and stuff. And anyway, he went to the Vasquez Academy.
Mhm.
He was a MMA guys, if I remember correctly. And he was good friends with a guy that used to coach me. So that's how I met him down. But you know, so he ended up working downtown for a while, and he worked for this guy we call Black Tom. Black Tom was not a black guy. We just called him Black Tom because he had these black eyes and he was Irish, and he had this underbite with this big. You've heard us talk about him. It was like that orc. Stay where you are.
Yeah.
He was he was a character, man, but he was so violent, you know. I didn't like going in his bar. He wasn't going to hit me, but he might pop somebody upside the head that's standing next to you. And one of my friends got blood in his mouth, and you know, in the day back then, you didn't have cures for things. You know, you got Hep C or HIV, you just got it. That's it. You know, good luck.
Right.
But you know, so I was like not interested in going into that. It was one of the slaughterhouses down there. My club was considered one too, probably one of the worst, but at least I was at home. When you're at home base, you feel a little more comfortable. But I was in there, and this dude got into it with somebody, and he beat the crap out of this dude. So me and him were talking one day, and it was me and my friend Roger, who I believe when he took his own life, he had a form of PTSD. But we were talking to him. We're like, how did you learn how to fight like that? And he said, dude, in the streets of Nicaragua, there's civil war off and on for years. First time he shot, he didn't kill a man, but he shot at a guy with an AK-47. He was 7 years old.
Oh, that's sad.
It was his uncle's. And he shot, and the guy fell off of the Jeep. And then he watched as this guy was ran over by a truck, a military truck. So then they went looking for him. So all night long, he was hiding in an abandoned building, just a 7-year-old kid. And he said the gun was so unwieldy, he couldn't like really control it. And so thank God they didn't catch him, you know. But these were the people that had drug his dad and his uncle away. So he went out there and shot at him. So it was the first time that he had done anything like that. But then later on, he did have to take life. And so he could fight like crazy. He was a tough guy. And when we were talking, he told me an incredible story, like not too long ago. Like I got kind of reacquainted with him through, Arash. He was working down at his club or whatever, or bar, And so I was talking to him. It's been several months now, but he said that we were talking about flying humanoids. We were talking with the guy from the Philippines, the one we worked out with, talking about vampires. And this guy gave me a story. And what he said was when one of the cities was on fire, when they had lit fire to villages, whatever, he saw these two winged creatures crisscrossing, going around and around. And he thought that they were, him and his brothers thought that they were vultures, except that they did not have feathers for wings. They had like these bat-like wings. And as he got closer, his brother had a pair of binoculars that he was like, they sucked. One of them had like the glass was broken on one side, but he goes, you could see, what it was. And he said that they looked like winged demons. They had these like they were green and greenish brown. And they had these really pointy ears and these long floppy earlobes and these weird long noses. And he said they looked like gargoyles. He got a good look when they were swooping around. And so he said we hid in a abandoned warehouse that night because the communists had taken over that area. And so they just sat in there waiting. And he goes, you could hear them like landing on the roof too and walking around. It was crazy. And of course, last night we had Kiam on, and Kiam was talking about with us before last. We ate dinner with him, and he was telling us a story of his uncle's house that was haunted, and there was the ghost of the man that had died was showing up and was flying around and jumping up and down on the roof. Yeah. And so
with big footsteps.
Yeah, they kept seeing him on the roof. So I don't know, man. It's really weird. And then, I was reading something in Kazakhstan. There's a legend that, and I just read this a couple days ago, that there were these vampiric type entities that will show up whenever there's war. And they're like ghouls. They attack the fresh corpses and they take the blood out of them. They don't eat them. But they show up like the newly dead.
Yeah, like still warm.
Yeah. And so one of the things that they would do, they would pile the bodies up and they would, back in the old times, whatever, and they would put coins on them, silver, to keep these ghouls from coming and being, because they can't do anything. They put silver on them.
Yeah.
So it's very weird, like these legends, these stories, but they got to come from somewhere.
Sure do.
Yeah. And they're all over the Levant and everything. Peace Frog says from Kazakhstan. You're from Kazakhstan, so then you probably know what is the name of those things, because that would be, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, D-Truth, I saw that the other day, Midnight Mass. That creature, that being on there is very reminiscent of, and some of the stories that we've talked about go way back before that thing, but that they look like that, some of these beings, right? Yeah. I mean, you read the stories. Yeah, they're described like this Nosferatu looking thing flies around,
Like that one. I always forget his name, but he was a preacher giving a lecture about him falling in with this group of like in his past, like shapeshifters, and they give him the option to become like a vampire or werewolf if you choose vampire.
Yeah, what is that guy's name? Because I would like to get in touch.
I always
with him.
Forget.
There's him, and then there's another guy from not Ecuador, El Salvador. The El Salvadorian guy. I saw him just the other day. His name, he talks about it too, because they have a new guy in El Salvador now who has locked up all the criminals. And get this, there was a newspaper article out of not the capital. It's the second largest city in El Salvador. And they said that they were, and I don't know if it was a joke or if they were trying to be serious, but somebody sent me the link to it on my email, and I have to go in there and take a look at it because I got 1,000 emails in there. But
Bill Schnoblin is that preacher's name.
Bill Schno, that's his name. Yep, bald-headed guy, right?
No,
he's a bald-headed guy.
I mean, he's got white hair on his head and a white beard.
I thought he was a bald-headed guy.
This is kind of an older video.
Okay. Because I know he had like white hair, but I thought he was like bald on top.
He might be
Yeah.
he might be bald now.
And he's very if somebody said it right there. Yep, Smurfy said it. So anyway, this guy he sends this link to like a TikTok. It was like a TikTok video, and it was like, check this out. This is what's happening in El Salvador. So the president had locked up all these people, right? Because all these people were bad criminal people, bad element. And so he was tired of them, tired of the bull craps. He just puts them all in jail. And now they're saying that some of them get this. This is what the TikTok video said. Of course, you can't just TikTok, dude. I mean, take it. The name itself is like TikTok. Just sounds
with
goofy.
a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt. But the guy was holding up a newspaper and he goes, "Look at this," and it was on the newspaper and it said, "Vampires running rampant in El Salvadorian prisons," because some of the people that they had arrested, not knowing they were vampires, and that their eyes were turning into red cat-like eyes, because the guy was like reading it, and he's like, I told you a vampire exists, man. You don't believe me. And he's like, they're running rampant in the jail, man. Or he said jail.
Yeah.
They're in the jail, and the people in there are being killed. A lot of people dying, and they don't know what to do. So they're taking them out and they're shooting them, man, but they don't kill them, and then they fly away. And I'm going like,
that's crazy.
It would be crazy if it happened here, but like, I mean, over there, it's probably like, oh well.
Yeah. Well, that's why like
it's just
there it does. Yeah.
Central American and South American media, they have like no filter. They report on anything and everything. Like even like supernatural stuff, it'll make the national news there. They don't care. Like,
well, look at that cop that saw the witch that attacked his squad car.
Yeah.
In southern Mexico, and he was crying or whatever, and they had the news right there. You're like, why did you crying?
Yeah.
It's like, I saw a witch and attacked me. Like, you're a big pussy, you know that, right? And he's like, man, get away from me, man. He's on there. He's attacking me. And they're like, okay, so don't you have it? This is Monica Hernandez. The guy, he big pussy, and we attack him. He's scared. They don't give a crap. They'll just embarrass the crap out of you.
He's a man supposed to protect you, man.
They see it all the time.
This is where our money go. Right here. Right here. You vote the president is sucking right here. That's what happened. Nobody cares. It's like whatever. So what else we got going on? Okay, we got the Nazi Hindu satanic cult dudes. Thank you. You forgot to add communism
and Catholic, and Jesuit,
anti-Catholic, but also Catholic, anti-Jewish, but also Jewish. And then what else are we? Anti this and
yeah. By the way, guys, I've been brought to Jesus Christ by you.
Really?
So yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I mean, literally, I was watching everything and going through it. And I can tell you, I won't try to tell anyone why Jesus Christ, the name is so strong, but it's incredibly powerful. I mean, it's incredibly powerful. I was
talking to somebody the other day who was a devout atheist, and they're starting to have second thoughts because something was going into their room and attacking him and his wife and him are now separated. Unfortunately, I think this thing had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it kept going into his room and messing with him, and his dog kept going crazy. And I said, look, man, I know you don't believe, but if you would just cry out in the name of Jesus. So he did. And he said, well, it didn't stop it. I said, but you don't believe.
Right.
Give it some belief. Pray. And he did. And then I told him to say the prayer, to accept Christ in his heart. And he did. And the next day it worked. This thing backed into the wall. Now, it didn't stop. It kept coming, but he was able to stop it. And he said, I didn't think a trailer house could be haunted. I'm like, yeah, it can, too.
Yeah, anything can
be haunted. No doubt about it.
Can be haunted.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess I got another thought. Well, see what you guys think about it. So, when I've been sober 11 years now. And when I was getting sober, it was pretty dark time. I was going through a divorce and stuff. And I was having sleep paralysis, but it was before I would go to sleep. It was just lost, so I don't know if you would, anyone would count it as that. So as I was getting sober, and I basically locked myself in a room for a long time, and only went out to do certain things, and there was something getting on top of me, and on top of that, just this room that I was in. It was a log cabin, and every time I walked into the room, I would want to kill myself. And then something would tell me, kill yourself. And then when I walked out of the door, it would not do that anymore. And so the original thing I was trying to say was just the whole sleep paralysis. But from what it's always seems to be like when you're waking up, you know what I mean? Or like night terrors or something like that. But this was hitting me before, like when I was laying down before I'd fallen asleep. So I didn't see anything, but I could feel it. So for whatever that's worth, that's just how it was. And I almost feel bad because it seems like I may have left that, like it was breaking off me.
Hey, John, hang on one second, John. Go ahead, Nick.
It seems like I may have left it there. You know what I mean? Like I feel bad, like when I left it, like if it was still there. Because it certainly broke off me. I'm sure of it. Because it was bad. I mean, I was heavy.
It's good that you found, Christ, because
yeah,
I tell people, and I sound like a broken record, but, and I'm not over here trying to convert people. I'm just telling you what's really going on. I mean, that's the way.
The proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding. His name works. I mean, there's the reason why they recognize him.
Yeah. I mean, I fully, believe what's said, and that's why it is. But I'm not here to push anybody. But I can tell you right now, it works. Which I mean should be proof in the pudding, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Nick, I'm going to talk to this guy, but you're
Awesome.
welcome to stay on if you want to stay on.
No, I'm okay. I gotta go get my dog and listen to you guys. But I want to. I appreciate everything you do.
Okay, thank you for coming on. That's just been neat. Thanks.
All right, take it easy.
All right, bye. Bye. So John, your thing says haunted for years. What do you got going on?
I'm not now. I was haunted for years. I'm just trying to figure out what it was.
So where are you from?
I called it. I live in Pennsylvania now, but I was in Connecticut at the time.
Have I told your story on the show yet?
Nope.
No. Okay. Have you sent it?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So this is something new. Okay.
Yes. I call it the white-faced demon, and I guess it started when I was about 6 or 7. That's the first time I recall it. I was laying on the couch and I was supposed to go to bed, obviously. And I was laying there, and I wouldn't say, I don't know how to put it, but above me I could see like this white face. The best way I could put it to you, man, is when I got older, I seen The Exorcist, and when it flashes in the cloud, you see the white face.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I can describe it to you. I ain't saying it was that. I'm saying it something like that.
Something similar.
But this thing, yeah. So this thing came down, and you ever have you're in between sleep, and you're like, say you're a football game, you get hit and you jerk and you bounce. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, it was like that, and then instantly I got sick everywhere, and this kind of thing stayed with me till I was 26, 27. It would do things to try to hurt me. It held me down in my bed. It done a lot of different things. Like, I'm not the only one that's seen, heard, or any of this. You would have footsteps that would walk in your room, walk up to the end of your bed. You would hear it walk up and down the stairs, but there'd be nobody there. Dog be locked in rooms that it shouldn't be locked in. And this happened throughout most of my life. And as I got older, this ain't all of it. I'm just going through real quick so other people can get on. But anyways, as I got older,
no, you say what you got to say.
My nephew said to my brother, I don't want to go to bed because the white-faced guy bothering me.
Oh, man.
Because what was bothering him?
The white-faced guy.
Yeah, the same thing that bothered me when I was a kid.
But the face did
And
look
I've seen this
human,
thing
right?
throughout. I don't think so. I don't. I'm no expert. I'm no nothing. I'm just an average guy. And but our house, we moved from Connecticut to Pennsylvania to a different house, and that house was haunted also. When we moved in, we had no idea, and this is going to sound crazy to people, but they took caskets with bodies out of the attic of this house.
What?
I'm telling you, like, it's crazy.
This was in
And
y'all
this
pulled this
was
out of the
in
house y'all moved
Pennsylvania.
into.
Yes. All
Whew.
right. Like, it's messed up.
You're a
dude.
brave man.
And things happen there. And I would see like this little boy, but I don't think that's what it was. But I would see this little boy, and it would try to it would peek around corners or whatever it was, and make me go that way, so that I would, I don't know, I guess go that way. You know what I mean? Like trick me or whatever the hell it wanted to do. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like it would there's this hallway in between the upstairs and downstairs, which was locked, but you would hear people walking in there. But there's no way for anybody to get in there.
Oh man. So can I ask you a question? How, like, why were you guys pulling bodies out of the attic? Like, what was going on?
It was the house we moved into, and they were, I don't know, I couldn't tell you. We moved in and they found them
Hmm.
because there was a graveyard in the backyard.
Wow.
So were they like dug up caskets? I mean, what?
I don't know. I just was told about it. I seen the guys come in, I seen them take it out, but I didn't really see, in there or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
And there was no like police report filed, like, hey, there's dead bodies in the attic of this house.
No, this was out in the middle of nowhere, Nowheresville.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
What the heck was living there?
But I just don't know what this thing is that did this, and I ain't gonna say it's gone, but I don't get bothered, and I don't want it to come back.
Man.
How long has it been since this thing interacted with you?
I couldn't, like things here and there go wrong, but I can't say that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you hear someone call your name, or you think you saw somebody, but you know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle says, this is what he says. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm being totally honest. He said that him and his wife were staying at our house, and in the middle of the night, I rolled over, and the big 4 model TVs they had in back in the day
Yeah.
that
Big
sat on the
boxes.
floor. Yes,
Yep.
the big box ones.
With the dials.
That's what he said. I jumped up on top of that. And he asked me, "Hey, John, what's wrong?" And he said that I growled at him. I jumped off like I was a wild animal. And he said I hit the wall or something. Something happened, but I rolled over. And he said he picked me up and put me back in bed, and that was that.
The heck?
Wow.
And you don't have any memory of that at all?
I don't know that happened. I don't remember that. I remember all the other stuff that happened, but I don't remember that. I can even give you a better one. A better one is we moved out of that house and we moved into another house, right? And the kicker is, I've heard you guys talk about it. The Satanic Bible,
Mm-hmm.
That was in the crawl space under our new house, under my bedroom.
Wow.
And can't tell you how it got there. Nobody can in the family. That we don't do that, you know. That's not our thing.
And this was like what way out there in the sticks too, or was it in town?
Yeah, it was in the same town, but on the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like we move out of one haunted house, move into another one, then we move out of that. We move. I always said it was something following us. That was my opinion.
Or it's that there's like some kind of coven out there in that area, you know, and then they network, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Going from
because
Connecticut to
like
Pennsylvania.
they used like back in the 90s and early 2000s, there was a county here in Texas called Williamson County that was
Where
like,
we're from.
yeah, which was kind of got notorious during the whole Satanic Panic because it was considered like the hub of like black magic practitioners in Texas. Like they were all in Williamson County for some reason. So they do like have a sense of networking, you know, that they'll find each other and whatever, live in the same towns or counties, just way out there in the middle of nothing. And most of Williamson County is just rural, small towns.
Yeah, that's why we you know, with the whole Dogman thing, we were wondering what that could be, what was causing that, because a lot of people were making a connection that there was something to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious about it because I don't know where it came from, where any of this happened. You know, my grandfather, no, nobody in my family ever been into any of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very confusing. Like, I grew up in a household, my parents didn't drink, they didn't do drugs, nothing. So I don't understand where that came from.
Well,
Now, the only thing I've ever heard of is anything weird, and that's when my grandfather used and my dad used to talk about the window peekers in their house in Georgetown, Connecticut. It would peek in the windows, and they couldn't get out the door fast enough to catch it. They set traps. They done everything. My dad, before he died, he was like, I think it was Bigfoot, but I don't know. But that's the only weird thing that's ever happened in my family. You know what I mean?
mm. That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's more than what's happened to most people.
I got a story. This one, it's funny. Did you say Connecticut?
Yeah, that's what I'm from, Danbury, Connecticut.
Well, this one was in New Hampshire, which is it's close. It's close to Connecticut. It was out in the middle of nowhere. And the guy that told me this story, his family's Dutch. It goes way back. And he was telling me that they were like early Amish, but they were not. I guess they were trying to build a community up there. And the people that were there, they didn't like the Amish or whatever. There was like a problem between them. And so some things happened and they burned down their little, there was like 3 or 4 like houses that were full of Amish people, whatever. So they burned it down. And I don't know exactly where it's at. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The guy that told me his name is Noel, but he told me this story not too long ago. I mean, it's not real long, but he said that the story is that now in the little rural area where he lives, people's farms, they'll see people that look like they've been burned up, like looking in their windows. Yeah. And then sometimes there's a man that'll walk around people's farms with a pitchfork and he'll be like shoveling hay or something and they'll go into the barn and the guy will turn and like he's all black and burned up and his eyes are red. And he's like, he's got the hat like an Amish person.
Yeah. Well, if he could just keep shoveling that hay and take that work.
Well, yeah, but he's
workload
not
off
doing
you.
it. He's just scattering it everywhere. Because I made a joke about it. I said, at least
It's free labor.
he's helping. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, he just scatters. He messes everything up.
I want a turd.
I'm like, we get the broken Amish one.
Yeah.
But I kind of made a joke about it. But he was like, no, this is serious. Like, my grandpa saw it. My dad saw it. And I was like, did you see it? He said, no. I said, well, then why am I talking to you? Get them on the phone now. No, I didn't do that. But yeah, that sounds kind of like that because it was weird. Like he was telling me, and I've never been to Connecticut or New Hampshire. Zane used to, and my nephew
Yeah.
used to live up there for about 3 years, 2 or 3 years. But yeah, there's a lot of creepy ghost stories. Connecticut is like just full of ghost stories, man. I met a guy at the
other thing that
gym.
confuses me though is that it follows you.
Yeah. That's why I don't like doing those investigations. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I haven't gone to many haunted places. And, like in San Antonio, we did the tour and we went into every haunted building we could find. But I thought about it later. I was like, I had a weird ass dream when I went to sleep. And I thought about it and I was like, it's probably something, followed me.
Yeah.
From all that jumping around,
Now, my question to you fellas is, what do you think that was?
Oh, was it following you?
Yeah, it only messed with me.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
I don't know why it only messed with you, but my first thought is that it's a result of some sort of like a group of like black magic, like whatever satanic practice or practitioners, and whatever is there between that satanic Bible in one house and the caskets being pulled out of the attic in the other one. That tells me that it's similar to what we had back in the 90s in Williamson County here in Texas.
Yeah.
Just like groups of these people networking.
And they found like a couple times they found dead bodies in barns and dead animals. So
I'm just curious because it started in Connecticut and we didn't move to Pennsylvania till later, and that's when we found them. That's why I'm saying it started before that. That's why I'm confused.
Well, I mean, just like the house we dodged a bullet we were going to move into. And then we found the dead raccoon that was left there on purpose. And it was just a lot of other red flags. And I was like, you know what, dude, I'd rather be homeless enough to live in another haunted house.
Yeah.
That place had some bad energy. Now. Which is looking like we may end up homeless. may get my wish. It wasn't my wish, but we may at least temporarily have to do something. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure it out. I mean, it's a mess. I don't know. So thank you for that, John. Is there anything else?
No, that's it, man. I just was trying to figure out what that was, and maybe you guys had an insight on it. That's it. That's all I was trying to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, man. We appreciate it, and thank you for you to continue. What am I trying to say? Thank you for listening, and please continue to listen to the show.
The only thing you can do is just stay in prayer. Ask
for absolutely, guys. 100%. You have a great evening.
You too, John. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So, Richard, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, guys. Thanks for putting me on the show. Me and my wife are huge listeners of you guys. Podcast, YouTube, whole 9 yards. Tiffany Collins that's my wife, so she's pretty thrilled right now.
Cool.
What I wanted to talk about essentially, for 5 years from 2018 till 2023, I worked with a dispatch center for police, fire, and medics. And the amount of just paranormal stuff that I saw in that 5 year period was absolutely wild. And it really all kind of came to a head when it was one night when I got off, and I worked nights for those 5 years. I feel like you could understand that, and you can imagine all the crazy stuff that goes on in an entire town at night. But one of the events that really kind of kicked off my, I guess my paranormal journey was one night after a long, really, really long shift. I got off work to get gas and stopped at a gas station that It's literally probably about 150, 200 yards away from the police station. And got out, got the gas, and as I was coming back to my vehicle, as I rounded around the pumps, I looked and I could see someone sitting in my car. And it startled me to the point
Wow.
where I literally drew my gun and stepped forward, and there was nobody there. Now, that really kind of took me off guard because for a long time I was very skeptical about the whole thing. And it really kicked off even more because the next day my mother passed.
Oh wow.
And that whole strangeness really kind of grabbed me. It really kind of pulled me back or pulled me toward kind of the paranormal side. But it didn't end there because literally about a week later, I was taking my dogs outside and it was probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And our middle dog is a very happy, very just loving, just a very loving dog. And I was outside with her. She turned and was looking toward me, but she wasn't looking at me. You know what I mean? Just they're just looking past you. And she just started wagging her tail. She was just as happy as she could be. And I thought my wife had walked outside. So I turned around and was like, hey, what are you doing out here? There was nobody behind me. But Moxie was still just as happy as she could be. When I came in later, a few minutes later, I told Tiffany about it and I said, hey, I was like, Moxie saw something and she got super excited behind me. Well, we have Ring cameras all the way around our house. So she decided, well, let's see if there was something, maybe a rabbit or maybe something that went behind me. And I was like, no. It was something a little more. It's like she saw somebody that she really liked. And we looked at the camera, and coming off probably about less than 2 or 3 minutes into that footage of that camera, there was an orb coming off the house, and it just went purposefully right toward my location. And both of us just kind of stopped and stared at each other like, wow. Like, are you seeing this?
Yeah.
What color was it?
It was kind of like a whitish clear.
Okay.
It was pretty transparent, but it was like a whitish clear color. But it moved with a purpose. So that really kind of got me, that got me thinking, that got me noticing kind of some more stuff. So I got to thinking about, just the I guess just the whole paranormal side of it as well. And I started looking back at what I did for a living. And there was a lot of stuff that, especially a certain area where I live, between like the interstate and about a quarter mile back, were a lot of really violent, and I'm sorry, oh my God, I talk with my hands a lot.
That's fine.
But there's a lot of really like violent stuff that happened just in that quarter mile range. And, it was really a lot of that stuff, like suicides during car chases and
Wow.
a lot of just random acts of violence. A neighbor that lived across from an older lady, he quite literally one day just went, completely lost his mind and just throttled this lady in the garage. And when he was arrested, they tried to talk to him to figure out why. And I mean, he just kind of like he snapped back into his senses, like he didn't know what he had done. And there was a lot of that kind of stuff in that general area.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, it's just working in that job, really, you've got to want to not believe in things like that.
Yeah, because I think that that like spiritual forces that are malignant, they're opportunistic, and so that they like to hang around like emotionally
Yeah,
traumatic events,
the
physical
the
violence, emotional and
there were
psychological
several
abuse.
other stories involving um kind of a similar thing. Now, one of the guys, it was a case where the man fought with his father, and he's always somebody who's had a lot of mental illness, just a lot of problems in that department. And he fought with his father and just brutalized his father, and then went through a neighborhood that he lived by and was trying to kill himself with a steak knife. And a lot of the officers were surrounding. They were trying not to use lethal force. They were trying to get him to settle down. But when I saw some of the body cam footage, his eyes were solid black. Like you could see nothing. And a lot of the body cam footage, you don't really see a lot of detail anyway. But in that instance, it was like his eyes stood out. You knew that there was something else there. And so much so that when they were finally able to actually get him cornered, one of the officers used the taser to get him. And I don't know if you've ever really seen somebody get tasered. They always lock up and they just fall forward. This guy did. He just
I've
went
seen people pull
straight
them
down.
out though.
All of his muscles just completely relaxed and he went straight down. And then when they got to him after he had tried to cut his throat, when they got to him, he was trying to say, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" Like he had no idea, no recollection of what he was doing or what had happened to him.
Yeah, people get driven by forces beyond their understanding. I believe that.
I've seen people get tased and just pull them out.
Mhm.
They keep acting a fool. It doesn't do anything to them.
Yeah.
I've seen people pepper spray, and it's like they're eating it.
So I'm sorry, guys. I'm
It's
having trouble
insane.
with my volume here.
Can you hear us? We can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. It's just really low. But yeah. So I was just trying to hear you guys. But yeah, that's what I was that's what I wanted to talk about. Just and I think that's kind of a resource for you guys to look into as well, as any like 911 dispatchers and stuff like that. We've all seen crazy stuff, but we've all seen some super, super terrifying things that can only be described as supernatural. And
So when you
I
saw
think
that,
that's all I've got for tonight, guys.
well, I have a question for you. Whenever you saw that person sitting in your car, I mean, like, did you see them long enough to see like what they look like? Was it a man or woman? I
Yeah.
mean, like, what was their physical description, if you could get one?
They looked. It was almost, when I saw him sitting in the car, it was almost like a you know how you can see somebody through the side of your eye, like out of your peripheral vision.
Mhm.
That's what it looked like from a straight on view. But it was like it only took a breath before they were gone. I couldn't see anything.
Okay, so you just more or less caught the shape of someone sitting there, and then it was gone.
I'm sorry.
So you more or less caught like the shape of someone sitting there, and then it was
Yeah,
gone.
I more or less caught the shape, but it was almost like it was just a man. I could tell it had like a male figure.
Right.
Wow. Well, thank you for calling in, Richard. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That was a
Thank
good
you,
story.
guys.
Yeah, man. And tell Tiffany I said hey, and I'm glad that you guys called in, and glad that you listened to the show. Well, we cut out.
We got your. I guess we lost them.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Though, if you're listening,
thank you for sharing, Richard.
Sharing, yeah. So we got Sean here. Sean, how you doing,
I'll be
Sean?
right back.
Sean, are you there?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm doing pretty well. How about yourselves?
We're doing good, man.
Good. So I know you talked a lot about the ghosts, and I've listened to your show for several years now.
Mhm.
I've got just tons of stuff I've gone through, but I'll focus on the ghost stuff just for the moment.
Okay.
So I ended up working in the funeral industry for several years, almost a full 5 years. So I worked actually through COVID as well, and then afterwards we got a mass layoff pretty much because the economy was devastated. Are you kind of vague where I live? I live in Alberta, Canada, so Western Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is quite a big company, and it's just stuff I went through there was they're quite an old funeral industry, so they've been around for quite a while. This funeral home, and they had several locations. One of my first experiences I had working there was one location during the Saturday. I was closing out the building just to get into the vehicle and drive to begin doing my work and work at other locations. And we had a hallway, and this hallway used to be where we proceed the bodies for services or when we brought them to the building. But then they renovated the place, and it was now just kind of the hallway to the staff room. I'm sitting there, and I was hear footsteps coming down the hallway towards me. I'm the only person in the building. And then they stop in front of me, like right in front of me. I'm now the only person in the building. So I hit the security pad quickly to put in the code beyond the building, and then I got out the door, slammed the door, locked it, talked to my coworkers at the other location, and yeah, they experienced that all the time is what they told me. They don't tell you anything, obviously, when you come into the industry about this type of stuff. You just experience it and then have to ask about it. And then the same location, I was downstairs where we kept the deceased, and I was doing some work prepping them, getting them ready for the services. And again, only person in the building, and this footsteps right above me. Boom, 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 above me, and stops right above my head.
You
So-
you were working in the funeral home?
Yeah. I was
And you
by
were by
myself
your,
in
there was nobody was there but you.
Nobody was there but me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Okay.
where we keep all the deceased.
Yeah.
So-
What did you do? What did you do?
Well, I just quickly finished my work and got up, made sure everything was clear, got in my car and left. And that was just the start of it. There's another location where we'd have cold spots right beside the heaters. You would get uncomfortable about late in the afternoon, about 5 p.m. onwards. You would get very uncomfortable. You feel like there's stuff around you, presence, right? It's in the graveyard. So that one got creepy, especially at night shift. So what ended up happening, I worked the days for a while, and then they eventually saw I was really good at transferring, which kind of became my main job. So they put me on a shift, which would be a 1 month day shift and 1 month graveyard shift, pun intended. But yeah, I gave a little bit of a joke because yeah, it's quite scary. So I would end up. We had a central location where and I'd be very vague about it, where we kept most of the deceased just for being able to do the embalming and all the work because it'd be impossible with how many funeral homes we have to have our main staff going to each location. So it's just a logistics thing. But this location was quite active. I had a shadow, what you pretty much call a shadow person, during the day there. I was parked in my vehicle, just filling out some paperwork, and I looked to my mirror beside me, and I saw a black figure, humanoid figure, I would say human-shaped, sorry, walk right behind my vehicle. And so I immediately got out, went to my back, my vehicle, looked down, there's no one there. My coworker comes in the door, which is right there. And I said, did you just walk by? Did anyone just come in? And he said, no one's been in here. It's just you and me. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I had that. There was a situation where we have a security room where they did the embalming work on the bodies. And you could see a little crack in the bottom of the door. It's two closed doors. You can see a bottom crack where during the day you can still see some of the outside daylight. Like all the windows are tinted in this place so people can't see, obviously for privacy reasons. But my coworkers, I never experienced it myself, but my coworkers, and I believe them, would always tell me we'd avoid looking at this crack in the bottom of the door during the shift because at times they would see a pair of shoes, someone standing there, just the bottom of the shoes at the door, and they go to open it and there's no one there. And they experience that all the time.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people went through this. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people went through this place. Like this is very busy. location. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the industry. But I had one instance. I'll get to some of my personal experiences, but I had this one was from a coworker, and I was there when it happened. I was upstairs, so we kind of keep everyone right above that. It's where our staff room is. And so I'm sitting in the staff room having my lunch, and all of a sudden my coworker, who's one of the embalmers, comes running up the stairs in a panic, and comes over, and she's completely panicked. And I calm her down. What's going on? What's going on? And they said they were standing by the computer, doing the computer work, filling out information. And so we had the deceased lined up on the tables behind her, right? All the feet on her side. In my province, instead of using metal for the toe tags, we usually use string, unless they come from the actual medical examiners. So all these people had come from either care homes or the hospital, and she felt was a strong negative presence, something really negative behind her. And so she turned around, and it's about 5 people lined up, and every one of the toe tags was standing straight up, defying gravity.
Wow.
And she just booked it out of the place up to me. So I ran back down to check. Everything was fine. Everything's normal, nothing strange.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
And you, how long did you work in these facilities?
about 5 years. Yeah, and I would be there night shift by myself. Sometimes
Oh,
when it was
no.
slow, I would be there by
can't
myself.
know.
I know it's if I could share a lot of my other previous experiences and stuff, it kind of makes sense why I'm able to at least somewhat mentally deal with it. But I wasn't Christian at that time. I had pretty much an animist, very different worldview.
Mm-hmm.
I had actually your show to thank quite a bit for me turning to Christ. Actually, you helped quite a bit in that. So I want to personally thank you for that, Josh. You did.
I'm glad that
I love hearing that.
Yeah, you guys, I can share that story. That's a whole big experience that finally got me to turn to the right path. But in this location, we've had another experience. I wasn't there for this, but 2 of my coworkers talked to me about it. So they both confirmed it happened. He walked out the cooler where we kept the deceased, and there was a wrench, just your normal kind of wrench you would have to fix tires and engines. Go flying across, almost hit him, go flying across in front of him into the wall, and his other coworkers saw. So one of the weird things in this place would be sometimes some of the, whatever they were, entities, ghosts, spirits, they would like some people. Like I guess they kind of liked me because I wasn't harassed much, but some other people they would dislike extremely and harass and scare them pretty much. So it's almost like kind of like if they liked your personality, they didn't like you. That was kind of the deciding factor on how much you were harassed.
What experiences did you have that led up to this?
Oh, to come into the funeral industry?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely dealt with quite a bit of paranormal stuff throughout my life to this point. It was also a factor of trying to get somewhere with my life. I didn't want to work in retail forever. And I kind of sat there and went, I have this unique view. I know there's something beyond this life. So why don't I try to do something that I feel I can deal with that I know a lot of people struggle to deal with, which is the funeral industry. So I went, you know what, let's give it a try and see if I can do it. And I did adjust pretty well. And I'll be honest, it's a hard industry. You see a lot of bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave a pretty good background, no crime, no nothing like that. You don't really want those type of people generally in that industry anyhow, like people who do bad stuff or been in bad stuff. You want to be professional, respectful, a good person, pretty much as much as you can. But you get varied type of people who come into that industry. But I had a lot of experiences of stuff beforehand, and that's what kind of led me to going into this industry. And you can say in a way it's kind of God's plan to put me in the right path to strengthen me, get me able to handle some of this stuff for later on in my life, I think.
So you feel like, have you always had the ability to hear and see things like, like ghosts or entities? Like,
I definitely have some odd things about myself. I definitely can sense things, like the presence of something there when you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was fairly weak before I came to the fuel industry, during my time in it, I could be in one of the buildings, and I just know there's something with me in that floor of the building. Like, since it's almost like a presence of something right near me, but you can't see anything. That really increased after as well. Well, I got a great story about a Sasquatch that you'll probably want to hear as well. That has to do with that sense.
I have a question, Sean. Did,
Yeah.
did you give me a story, one of these about a funeral home before? Did you give me one?
I've just sent everything I kind of had in one email to you.
Yeah, because I remember getting, and I thought it was your name. I remember reading a story, and I may have told it. There was like an entity with red eyes. Was that
No.
you?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right. That was a different one then. I thought it was you. I thought it was, well, it might not have been Sean. It might have been Steven or something. But I remember reading one where a guy had seen, he was doing an autopsy, or not autopsy, but like, you know how they do the embalming?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. How we
And he
embalming
heard
everything.
something behind him, and it said, "Hey." And he stopped, and he had headphones on, but it was like, and it was back in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And he had, but his one of his headphones was like not on all the way, so he could hear, because he wasn't there alone. He had somebody that was working in the other side,
Yeah.
and the guy was his boss, and according to him, he was kind of a prick. So I
Jeez.
guess that wasn't you, but he said, not that you, how about you? That wasn't you. We know you're not a prick, but the guy said his boss was kind of a prick. So he
Yeah.
was like doing his job. And then he hears, hey, hey, and like a kind of a clap or a pop noise. And he turns around and he sees the outline of a shadow, like a being or whatever. And then it had like red eyes and it was gone. And then when he turned around, like he had like went to go look because it moved down the hallway,
Yeah.
and the guy was kind of brave like you, and he was just like, I went to see where it went. He was, I turned around, and the woman whose body he was working was standing there looking at herself.
Jeez.
So that one, he told me that one I got that one about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know, Anthony, we had talked about doing one on funeral homes because you remember John Zaffis talking about the, yeah, okay. Anyway, John Zaffis is a very famous guy that he was talking about the haunting in Connecticut. And we were talking about not splitting up.
Mhm.
And I was,
broke that rule.
and he broke that rule, and it scared the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Well, then we talked to a guy named Russell. Oh, God, what is his last name? He worked on the case known as The Entity.
Mhm.
I think I've heard
And
of that.
he claimed to know John, and he was saying that, and I haven't confirmed it. I haven't, but because I never got back with him, but he worked at UCLA. And he said he remembers when that case went down, that really happened. That was not no
Yeah.
make believe, whatever. But this guy, he did an investigation on, and he was on some show. I don't remember which one it was. He sent me a clip of it, but he was going to be a guest. But then he came down with what do you call that? Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So he said, and then when he recovered, and he said that he didn't want to do any more messing around, going to ghost places, whatever, because he thinks it made him sick.
He
And
was
maybe
talking
it
about that
did. I don't know.
before,
Yeah, but
possibilities.
well, he was going to these places. And he
Yikes.
did this place where they used to do embalming and stuff like that. Can't remember that freaking guy's last name. But anyway, it's going to drive me nuts until I go back and I look. But he claims that in that area of the campus was temporarily closed down because people were having all kinds of stuff. Some woman got picked up off of the ground and pushed up against a wall by an unseen entity, and all they saw was like the green outline of something.
The green is never good.
Yeah, it's always something green,
Like a
right?
green
It's really
orb with
weird.
green eyes.
And so they think that thing had gotten trapped there temporarily, but then it got loose. Because the guy had, this guy was a real nerd. He was like, we had figured out a way to trap these entities. And I'm like, yeah, no, because that you can though. I mean, if you bring somebody on like Abe or Joe Hops, they'll probably tell you that those crystals, the quartz, can do things like that. And Daniel Jones talked about it on the show about how, those are in your phone or whatever. Wasn't it Daniel?
Christopher Jordan.
It's Christopher Jordan we're talking about, yeah. Well, both
Yeah.
smart guys, and we've eaten dinner with them and talked to them. But this guy, Russell, was saying that he worked on that case. He was like a college kid, but he had volunteered and that something followed him home, and he saw the outline of an arm grab him and choke him, and all it was just a black arm. But the creepy thing is that it was furry.
Oh,
And it was
Really?
just a black furry arm, and it was shoving
Wow.
him up into the wall. He goes, and then my head was going through the wall, and I was like, when he was telling me this, and I know I had him going through the speaker on my truck. We were talking, and D, my brother, was with me. I don't know if he's not in the chat or whatever. And D was like telling me, he was like telling me to ask him what he saw through the wall, like. And I was like, so did you see, did you go through the wall physically? I mean, did you slam your head into it? Or was like, no, it was like I was coming out of my body and this thing was trying to pull me through the wall, but he could see like the insulation and everything, like through the wall.
Oh.
Yeah, like he was being
So he
pulled.
was literally
He was being pushed through the wall by this black arm. And so then right after that, about like 2 months later, he ended up being diagnosed. And so he quit going to these, do this stuff. Yeah. But there was a guy though, like I said, that gave me that story about the red-eyed demon thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that it was weird. It was making like this kind of popping staticky noise, like when it
You mean like the thing we heard in the other room?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yes. See, I don't want to scare people because, like, last night Keem was like, is there like ghosts in here? And I'm like, I don't know. You want me to say no? Because people have seen things behind me. When we were interviewing Steve Stockton, 10,000 people have watched it now, and they heard like, there was something howling.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is that?
Well,
I mean, you stare into the abyss that stares back.
Yeah,
I mean,
I believe that's the truth because during this time in the film industry, I have my stuff, and I've had stuff after. I've seen what you call dogmen or the werewolves. I've seen them. So I began listening to this paranormal stuff during my time in the film industry. I have another really good ghost story, but I think we should go into the subject a bit too. So I'll do the one that wasn't with the dogman yet, but then after this, I had some stuff with them quite a bit. So I went to a famous place called Elbow Falls, right? So it's kind of like a natural waterfall, right? And I was there for a while just looking at the scenery. Then I went, there's a park hiking trail I could take that's about 20 minutes away from here. So I went to this trail just by myself, 20 minutes, I'm going to go up and I'm going to come back, right? Very short distance. Yes, I was by myself, very foolish. I don't hike anymore by myself after everything I've experienced at this point. But I go up this trail, and you're going to moan at this, Josh, but I did something stupid. I had a recording of one of these dogman howls on my phone. I know it was. I didn't believe they'd be that commonplace and that near. I found it a lot more closer to home than this. But I go up and I'm going up the trail for a while, and I begin playing this a little bit on my phone once in a while, just to see, anything weird happens. Past a few people. This trail's not used much. There's a few people I passed. And I get to the 20-minute mark, and they warned me there's a bull ahead of me that's asleep. I decided got loose from its hood. And it was just asleep docile. I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn around this point in case the bull gets active. I don't want to get injured because no one knows really I'm out over here in this hiking trail. So I turn around, again walking back. I walk back about 10 meters away from the spot I stopped. And I'm all of a sudden hit with a wave of exhaustion that I couldn't explain. I had rested before, drank water, had a snack, stayed in the shade for a while before I went onto this trail. No reason I should be feeling like this. It was just an exhausting wave of exhaustion. So I kind of strained myself and go, okay, I keep on going back, thinking maybe somehow I've overexerted myself without realizing it. Then I'm hit again. And then that's when I stop, and I could go on my past experiences, but I know enough from the past and listen to some of the stuff to go, okay, something is here. Of course, I was thinking animist mindset. I wasn't Christian yet. I'm going, okay, I need to get back to my car. This is not good. Something's trying to keep me here. I need to get out of here. So I'm again going back down to the trail. The best way I can describe it is if you think of like your veteran special forces type of characters, that level of skill, precision, experience, it's constantly hitting me. Boom, boom, boom. Every like 5-10 seconds, I'm going back down this trail. I almost stumble off the trail to a short drop at one point from this exhaustion. Like I'm stumbling a bit, and I'm like struggling against this. And I kind of push my own will against this as best as I can. And I eventually get to within sight of my car. And this presence finally seems, whatever it is, seems to kind of stop. And the best impression I kind of get, like I kind of stand there, kind of, a bit defiant against it, self-defense defiant against it. And the best impression I get was a feeling of being impressed. I was able to get back to this point, and they would let me go. And so I got back to my car. I drove, and I almost hit 2 deer when I was coming back, and I was unfazed, but I was shaking from this experience. I got home, I rested. It took me 2 full days to recover. I was completely drained of energy. I could barely do anything for the next 2 days.
Wow.
I've never gone on this trail again from that experience. I've avoided that place. Yeah, I've avoided that place, but thankfully some stuff in my past kind of convinced me. Oh, sorry. I forgot the one part. So there's one part when I went by a tree, a white birch tree, and I got a thought that I knew was not mine because I had listened to someone when I was younger who talked about a little bit about this, some of this stuff, saying you can tell when you have your thoughts and when there's something that's not your thought that's in your head or been placed into your mind. And the thought I had that was placed in my mind is lean against that tree and rest for a while. And I went, at that point, I went, that's not my thought. I really need to get back to my car. That's not my thought. Something's trying to get me to stay here.
Wow, it told you to do that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you've talked on your show about stuff coming out of trees. I've had one of these shadow werewolves, whatever, come dash into a tree when I turned around at a different place I went to on a hike. Unfortunately, again, by myself, but a far distant place. That's another story I could tell too, but that was kind of the first real heavy brush with the other entities of this world, besides from the ghosts and stuff in the funeral industry. But that could be legitimately some of the reasons some of these people disappear out of the wilderness. Is something gets them to exhaust, rest, snatches them through a tree, or they just, blank out on the pathway.
Yeah.
Chopper Dave has a good question here. He says, explain how to tell the difference in if it's your thought or something else. I tell you what I would do. Is it something that just randomly popped into your head, which could be your inner gut telling you to get the hell out of there, right? Or is it something that you think about it? Is it something that you would tell yourself? And, I have an inner monologue too.
Yeah.
My inner monologue is Morgan Freeman. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? He sounds just like that too. He's like, I don't know why you would do it. And then the other times it's David Attenborough. It's like, you know that this is not correct. This is a damn demon, and you're standing there like
Mine just sounds like me, but it's even more critical than I am in real life, and it's like constantly criticizing myself.
And for some reason, when I'm going to get into something stupid, Walter Cronkite tells me to do it. Are you going to stand there and let this man insult you? We are Texas. What starts here changes the world. Now hit him in the face. And I'm like, what the hell are you telling me?
Right.
Become one with the fist. No, I don't really have those voices in my head. That would be insane. They all sound like Jack Nicholson.
Cullen's voice.
Peter Cullen.
Transform and whoop his ass.
So
Bumblebee.
They'd be like, Sean, you know what you have to do. Matrix and destroy him. Sean, roll out.
Right.
I don't know exactly what you could do to know that is the voice you should be listening to or you should not be listening to. I know that I have an inner monologue, and it does kind of say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. That sounds kind of like Venom, but you know what I mean? Like I don't have an other attached to me, but I'm thinking to myself, this is probably not correct. And then there'll be thoughts that will pop into my head that I know that aren't correct. That that they're not. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Especially when you're going to make a bad decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like something there. Everyone from the Zoroastrians to the Muslims to the Gnostics to the early Christians to the Hindus to the Buddha, everybody, a sect of each one of those religions has sort of a story that says, you have a good angel and bad demon on you.
Yeah.
Each one you have that, but really and truly, it is you. It is what it is, and it's your inner psyche, and
Yeah.
it's which wolf you feed. Like the Native Americans, they always say that. The Native
Yeah.
Americans say that.
It's like the different aspects of you, or like a different natures of you, kind of debating.
Yeah.
Like I go on with some stuff I've had recently, but I actually want to go back to kind of my early life because I think there's some really interesting stuff to share. So
Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. One of the big things about, and I've had this has bothered me my entire life. I've only very recently finally kind of had an answer. I'll maybe hold that back till later or in another discussion. But so what generally happened is I was born, we lived in the country. Apparently that house was haunted from my parents' experience. The person who died there apparently was still around. Excuse me. So they decided to move to the smaller town, which became a city, which I'm still in now. Now, the thing is, I have no memory of anything till the age of 9 years old. I have
How old are you?
I'm 33 now.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, because
Yeah.
a lot of people in that age group don't have memories until they're,
Yeah, they started
Really?
pumping us full of chemicals by the
Mhm.
time we were babies. So
Well, I
because
definitely.
like you don't really see that with Gen Xers and people from previous generations. Like they have like a lot more memories of like their childhood, but for some reason, like with our generation, millennials, like like we have generally speaking, we have memories from our childhood, but like they're kind of like spotty,
Yeah.
and it's like part of that. Part of our memories like just been wiped from being a kid,
Glyphosate. I say glyphosate, and I say
Mhm.
fluoride and aluminum.
Like I do have memories being as
Big
young
time.
as like when I was in diapers, but like when you describe your childhood, Wolf, like there's like a chronological timeline that you can go through, like I don't have that. It's just like memories here and there.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I don't understand is how you and Zane and everybody were talking.
hmm
I remember you guys were all at the house for the summer or whatever, and we were out doing something, eating. Oh no, we were in what's that place in San Antonio with the pizza?
Big Lou's.
Big Lou's, and we were all there eating pizza. And there was like four of y'all, and we were talking about childhood. Y'all were talking about video games from your childhood.
hmm
And so then I went around and I said, "What is your earliest memories?" And it was me and Scorpion. Remember, we were asking you,
hmm
and y'all couldn't remember about before a certain age. And so with like me and Scorpion and D and Squid and all these guys, we remember our childhood very vividly. And I was actually having this conversation with Chris Garatani. He's my age. So we were talking about our childhoods and what we did. And I think we even talked about it with Christopher Jordan too. And then it came up that you guys, like you and Sean, y'all the same age,
hmm
you don't have memories from until you were like 7, 8, 9 years old. That is so weird.
Yeah.
Well, to make it even weirder, so I had a few brief flashes of the previous house, about 3 brief flashes. The longest was about an hour, playing with my siblings, doing those type of things. Then I had one flash of memory of entering the house that we moved into that was being built. Then my real kind of life from then on was I woke up, I was laid on my bed, arms spread out, right, half flopped my bed, like I just had fallen over in a perfect position. I got up, and this is why I've been told too many people about this in my life, but it's really strange how I approached this because I didn't remember my name or anyone's name in my family. And I got up, and it was almost like I had an instruction manual. It was like, okay, go downstairs and, find everything out. So I went downstairs. My parents said the name, my mother's name to my father's. Like, okay, that's my mother's name. That's my father's name. They said my name. Okay, that's my name. And okay, that's my siblings' names. I had no memory of my own name or anything. And that kind of bothered me. I just kind of went the day throughout like a normal day. I knew how to do everything else, but I had no memory of my name until it was told to me. And then I had about another odd kind of thought about 3 to 4 weeks after this. I would say about 3 weeks. And one of the thought was, where's everyone else? Where's everything else? There's something's wrong with this place. Where's everything else? Where's everyone else? And then I went on, just like a young kid. Oh, okay, everything's fine, nothing weird. But that bothers me. Why did I say that? Why did I think that? Have you heard of experiences like that, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, every experience is unique, but they follow a pattern.
How old were you when this happened?
That was at the age of 9.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that was the first memory you have?
Yeah, the first proper, full, normal day memory. The other ones before was 5 very brief moments. I've at the point I believe I wasn't here for those 9 years. That's kind of what I'm feeling, but I'd like to hear your guys' views as well.
Do you think you might be a walk-in?
Walk-in. I was going to say, yeah, that could be too, because Tony's stepdad, he was in a horrible accident when he was little, when he was 4.
I think so.
He was 4. He was blonde hair. Remember, they said he had
Mhm.
blonde hair and blue eyes. We already still has blue eyes, but he had blonde hair and real light blue eyes. But his eyes got deeper, and then his hair, right after the accident, his hair turned light brown. And they said that he believes he was a walk-in because because he's of that generation like mine where he remembers everything, but he only remembers it after the accident. He don't remember anything before the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's odd because most of the time, he was like 4 or 5, he said. But most of the time, people in my generation, their first memories are like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Which would be normal. But there could, and this is going to sound ridiculous to the uninitiated out there, but I've had a theory too that there could be an entire generation of walk-ins used by the archons, which I believe are a vampiric type being. And if you're first joining us, if this is your first time listening to the show, I don't want to freak you out and make you think, man, this guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm going to tell you this. The entities that live within the earth, I mean, that seem to be kind of like pulling the strings, that give their power to these vampiric people to do what they do, I mean, and of course, if they could perfect it and figure out a matrix type system, it would make sense to wipe out your memories from an early age because you're not going to know where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because in places where reincarnation is a very common thing, you have entire like sects of like sections of provinces, like in India or in Lebanon, like where they're Druze, and they remember past lives up until the time they're 6 or 7, and it's so common they have to kind of teach them, look, you're living this life now. That is not your family anymore.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it could be emotionally traumatic for them as kids too, because they have these memories and it's like they don't want to let go and be in the life that they're in now. It's like they still feel like they're that other person.
Ace says Cocoa Puffs on Yummer now. It kind of does. I was thinking about some cereal earlier.
I haven't had cereal in such
I was
a long
like
time.
driving around, test driving a vehicle today, which didn't work out. It wasn't for me. And I was thinking, just popped in my head. I was hungry though. I was like, I would love to eat some cereal, and I hadn't had any cereal in a couple months. So
it's funny
that just kind of popped up.
It's funny you talk about the eyes. I don't know if I should say this one publicly, but I'm going to. So I had another interesting experience. This happened quite several years later. I would say my very early teens. I was still in middle school when this happened. We went to a store just to buy some things, and then my father was going to take me to the haircutter so he can get a haircut while I sat in the car and waited for him. But there was a painting on the wall. I looked at this painting. It was just like a bunch of wolves, right? Someone had done an oil painting of them. And I looked at one of the eyes of these wolves. I had this yellow eye, and I just felt a strange sensation over my own eye, something strange. And it didn't feel bad, right? But it's a strange sensation. So we got in the car. Everything seemed fine. My father drove a block over, got out, went into the store, and I sat there. I opened up the little mirror we had in the car just to look at my eyes because I'm like, why this feels strange, right? So my pupil to my iris, the edge of my iris, there were these, my eyes were blue, right? There was these gold kind of like line band, kind of like just kind of moving waves, moving. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but this is what I saw. I sat there and just gaped watching this, and this was going on in both my eyes. And I would say the sensation I felt at this time was like being alive. It felt incredible. It felt good, positive. It felt like being alive. It felt everything else was like nothing compared to the sensation. I watched it for a good, had to be about 10 minutes. And then eventually kind of faded and stopped. My eyes were a little bit more of a grayed out version of my original color, which is blue. After that, we got back home. Father never said anything. No one seemed to really notice, except after like a few days, he noticed, well, your eyes are a little bit kind of like a little bit different, a little bit darker, a little bit grayed out, but you know, everything seems to be fine. No one seemed to be worried about it. It's just the way my parents were. But I looked, and every time I would go into a bit of a low light room or darker room, or if you put my hand, and I still could do this to this day, my hand over my eyes. What happened was when it stopped and slowed down, there was a little bit of almost like a gold amber. I wouldn't say gold, but like a brownish amber around my pupil. And you can't really see in the light, but I can see it when I go. And I know it sounds crazy, I know, but I go to a washroom or anything, a room, turn the lights off to like just so I can see a mirror, and it's just low lights. You can kind of see it's more gray, dark around the rim of my iris, and then around the pupil, it's more kind of golden with a little bit kind of lines wriggling out across. But it's not extreme. It is a, it's not extreme like I'd walk down the street and people would notice. I had to be in a darker toned place, and then I could do this and I could kind of see it. And everyone else normally just sees my eyes a little bit of a more grayed out color than they would be normally. And it's kind of point I kind of come to the conclusion now that there's a little bit more to myself than I think. It kind of explains why I've had just this massive wealth of experiences I've had up to this point. Because I haven't even gotten started on all the experiences I've had. I've experienced a lot of stuff. And some of the stuff when I've seen these entities and stuff, they've acted odd to me. They've acted strange. From what I've heard from your show, how they usually act to people, sometimes they've acted very strangely towards me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had that, and that bothered me for just as long of a time. I think now, through prayer to God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, I sort of have the answer to it. But that's a really big subject too. But this was all meant to happen. Experience for me to begin going on the right path and understanding myself and the nature of reality as you present on the show. And I think you're right, Josh, about so much in your show. And your show has helped me a lot putting some of the stuff together. But I'm telling you, you talk about these cults. Like that's experience. There's a few other things, but I wanted to share that because you talked about the eyes. Now, sorry, I guess I should ask you if you have any questions before I go on to the next thing, because I think I've encountered some of these werewolf groups you talked about, these cults.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, like, I think, okay, we get a lot of information from a lot of different people about a lot of different things. And we do hear a lot of times that people have come to Christ because that's the truth. That's the true way. And yes. I'm glad to hear that. I love to hear people are getting the message, you know. And I do believe in God. People are trying to spread rumors that I don't believe in God. I don't believe in God in the way that some people believe in God, because I want to know that I am on the right path following the true God.
Yes.
The Father of Christ, the one that Jesus talks about repeatedly. And not just in the New Testament. People say, well, there's this and there's that and whatever. There's a lot of books out there. And if you do yourself the favor of reading, you know, people don't do that now. They don't want to read. They want to be told everything. I don't have all the answers, but I have read a lot. Now, Anthony, you remember, I used to read constantly. I had 3 or 4 or 5 books I was reading at the same time. I was always reading. And that was my hobby. One of my hobbies was reading. And like I said, I don't sleep a whole lot. So I had time to do a lot of things. And I've told people many, many times that it is not unusual to have a lot of experiences. There are certain people that are alive and awake in this matrix, excuse me, and they want to destroy you by calcifying your pineal gland.
Yeah.
And I tell people that, but some
Mhm.
people are awake. So what they do is they create these smoke screens too. And think about this. Your pineal gland begins to close up around that age of 9, 10, 11 if you don't use it enough.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they're smoke screening you, you know, because they don't want more people like me. They don't.
Ooh.
Because I'm not saying I'm some special guy or whatever. I'm just a guy who paid attention, who had a I have a pretty I have a pretty high IQ.
Yeah. You
I
ask the
mean,
questions.
and so that they don't want more of that. And I'm altruistic. They don't want altruism.
Yeah.
And they don't want people they can't predict. They want to have everyone to be on an algorithm that they can kind of predict where you're at. They don't
Absolutely.
like unpredictability. They don't like
Mhm.
intelligence, and they don't to a certain degree. And then they don't like, you know, altruism that they can't control because you do care about other people enough to where if you care about somebody, you care about others, you'll teach them. There are some smart people out there. My dad is one of the smartest people on this planet. I'm not joking. You know how he is. He's smart,
Mhm.
but he doesn't use it. As far as I'm concerned, his intelligence is wasted because I don't. He cares about one other person in this planet. That's his wife. That's it. He doesn't care about anybody else. I don't think he has the capacity for it. I just don't. He's not a sociopath in the sense that he doesn't care about anyone, but he really does not care about other people. He just doesn't have it in him to have compassion and love. Those things are almost like they're foreign to him. He tried, but he failed miserably as a dad and as a mentor and as everything else. And he took, like I said, like with Anthony, then with your parents,
Mhm.
they tried, but you can't take the Rembrandt and hang it in the garage and go, yeah, well, we're just going to leave it there. And that's what happens with you guys, y'all's generation. You guys were duped and dumbed down up until a certain point where they thought, okay, we have these kids now. They're under control. They're not going to have these experiences. Nothing's going to happen to them. But you turned out differently, Sean, which is not something that they want. They don't want people having all these experiences because when you see something, for example, there was a guy named Phil who was, looking into the sky, and this happened like near Edwards Air Force Base. And he was, there was like this, what do you call it? Those shows that they do with whatever.
Oh, those air shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after the air show, he said this was back in like the early 90s or something. He looked up and he saw the sky open up. He was like 6 years old. And he saw like into another world. Like it looked weird. Like there was this weird swirls and like weird, the clouds, everything looked green. It was bizarre. And so he asked me about that. And he said after that point, he began to have memories. Prior to that, he had no memories. He said he was like 6 going on 7. So, he was born, later, way later than me. Um, you know, think about it. He was born like 1988 or something like that, or 87, something. Um, you start to look at each generation becomes, they're remembering things later and later and later. For example, Zane, my adopted son, you look at him as an example. What did he say? He said his first memories were like what he was 9 or 10 or something like that. I was like
No.
he can't remember anything. And your memories started at what 6 or something?
Mm, I mean, like I have memories of like before I was in kindergarten. So like, I mean, probably at 2 years old, but they're kind of like spotty.
Like flashes of things.
Yeah. Like I remember my first day of kindergarten. I cried
Mhm.
like a baby, and I remember my mom leaving me there, and like I just hated it. I hated school, and
You
then
just,
I
sorry, go
remember
ahead. Go ahead.
watching myself get changed as a baby somehow. Like I was watching my mom change me from a third person's perspective, and like so I was looking at myself on the bed, like getting my diaper changed, which was weird.
What they're trying to do is set the tone for the rest of your life. And they're doing it on a mass scale. If you look into the sky, what do you see? You see crisscross across the sky.
Yeah, we got a lot of that up here.
Chemtrails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's crazy. It's you didn't believe it until you begin opening up to all this stuff. Then I'm going like, yeah, that's literally what they're doing to our skies. There's not the conclusion.
Yeah, and I don't care what anyone says. Like people will always say, "Oh, those are contrails," and you're the dumb one. No, if you pay attention, you know the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail. Because I've seen contrails ever since I was a kid, and they dissipate real quick. Those other ones, those other trails, they stay there all day. Like a contrail is not going to be in the sky all day long.
Yeah,
you didn't pay attention, when you were younger.
Well, and that's the thing. They destroy people's attention span too. Destroy people's attention span because when you have someone like myself and my colleagues who are talking to you and the show is an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, how many people in their 20s are going to watch this? Not many.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the capacity. It's not even their fault. But they've been taught rapid fire or whatever, TikTok.
Yeah, let's see that it's like 2 hours long. You'd be like, I'm not going to watch
I'm not going to watch that.
That's why Vine and TikTok exploded.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to now make videos that we have to cut. And that's what Kiam's job is going to be, to make them to where they're palatable for the younger people so that they can come and see these things. But it's also for them to learn. Because like Jesus says, my people, they die for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
You're destroyed for lack of knowledge. The worst thing that you want to give the enemy is information. And so we're the enemy to them.
Yeah.
And they're outnumbered. They being the people who are in charge. And they are, but they belong to, their masters.
Yeah.
We're living in a simulation and people, they have the cheat codes. But you could do it too. You can manifest things. I have willed things into existence. I have manifested a lot of things. People have asked me many times how I managed to do as much as I do. It's not magic. It's just the will. It's ambition and the will defeated. That's it. I mean, I told everybody, I'm going to write 2 books. Yeah, okay. I did it. I'm going to have a conference. It's going to be successful, 500 people. The next one, 600 people. These aren't like, this didn't happen by accident. PRT didn't just get, I give credit to Armando for pushing me to do this. He was one of the people who kept saying, dude, you're going to be big. You could do this, man. You're good at you're good at what you do. You have a memory like nobody's business. And one of the things that Armando, he tested me. We were at the gym and he gave me an entire story. And then 2 days later, he asked me to repeat it, and I did verbatim. And he was like, how the hell do you do that? I said, dude, it's an ability. And he's like, see, that right there is why you should do this. You should do this because you don't even have to write stuff down. You have a little bit of a note there, and then you just, and Anthony, my memory is strong.
Oh,
it's very impressive. Everything I've seen your show, it's blown me away how quick you're at the stories.
And retaining information too is important because most people don't retain the information that I do.
Yeah. Well, like whenever Wolf writes notes, it's like some like quick like bullet point kind of like chicken scratch that he scribbles down on a piece of paper, and like he'll just kind of briefly, if anything, he'll briefly look at that before the show for like just a glance, and then toss the notebook aside and be like, all right, I got it. And then 2 or 3 hours, later, he's like still going, expanding on the same story, like expanding like all these different aspects of it. It's crazy.
And then you and Tony have also mentioned like thinking I'm going to forget something.
Yeah.
Or you're remembering. Oh yeah, that's right. There's that, because you don't remember it. And that's not saying you don't have the ability, but I think that we all have that innate ability in us, but they destroy it.
Yeah.
And I think that with me, I was just like everybody else. I got attacked. But I think that, you're lifted up if your spirit is strong. And that's why I believe we've been here before, because you come into this world knowing things. When they started teaching us reading and writing because I had a lust for trying to learn how to read when I was 4 or 5. I was like, I want to know these words
Yeah.
because I think I know this, and I was always trying to learn. So in first grade, when they started teaching us words and writing, it was like real fast. I remember this. It was like I said that, told my teacher, I said, I remember this, and she's like, "Oh, okay, you remember this?" No, I do, because I was taught this before. And when I was like 3 or 4, my grandparents, and I know you've heard these stories, Anthony, my mother's talked about it, speaking other languages.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, what the hell? How does he know that? What is he talking about?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I picked up reading before I
'Cause I
was
spoke
even in
German.
school somehow.
Yeah.
Like, because I used to have these little children's like golden books, and I loved reading those, and I remember reading those like before I even went to pre-K or kindergarten.
You were smart. You were a
Yeah.
smart child too, but you were also creepy.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a creepy little
I
kid.
mean,
And
I
you
didn't
know,
even realize that I was like creeping everybody out.
your
to me.
eyes, because babies' eyes are the same
think-
size as when you're an adult.
I think maybe I just hated everybody as a baby or as a kid
you,
or something.
You had these little bitty walnut head with these big old eyes.
Yeah.
And it was just weird.
Well, because aren't your eyes like don't they
same
like
size.
they never grow? Like
never
when you're
grow.
born, they're
Yeah.
just that size.
That's it.
Your eyeballs.
That's why on South Park, when they show the kindergartners, their eyes are all
Yeah.
And that's how you are.
I look like a South Park
You
kindergarten.
were like this little walnut head with these big old eyes. And I told my mom when he was born, I said, I was there when you were born. I was like, and I came in right after you were born, and you were like this long. I said, what is that? I was like, it's like an insect. And my mom was like, shut up. Well, she was all over me. And your mom was like, she could barely talk. And she was like, shut up. Don't talk about my baby. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm just glad you're okay. You know, this alien. Here it is. And they were like, do you want to hold it? And your grandma Susie was, I didn't want to be rude.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, sure. And I was like, it wasn't that bad, but I joke around like his arms unfurled. And it was like, whoa, what is this?
Like an eraser head
The
baby.
hell is David Lynch,
Like
baby? What is this? Twin Peaks,
like
baby?
It's like a green bean with eyes.
Oh, God. So what else do you got going on here, Sean?
Tons. So I'll skip the deja vu kind of thing. It didn't happen too much, and it wasn't deja vu. It'd be like I'd have like a dream of something that was going to happen, and then like a month later, it would exactly happen how it happened in the dream, even though I've never been to the place before. The only one that was really significant was we went out to this park that was a bit away from the city, and I had a weird dream like there'd be these 3 dogs that would run in front of me, and we were there as kids, and we're young kids. We're like just in early middle school, and we saw 3 dogs run on the edge of the forest, and we went, okay, those could be wild dogs or someone's dogs. So let's get the kids back to safety in case they try to come and attack us or something, right? And we're walking down the path, and in my exact dream, I had these 3 dogs run right in front of me, and I recognized that place, that moment, and that scene, and so I stopped in my tracks. Everyone behind me stopping, and then he ran right across in front of me, like right in front of me. These 3 dogs. And then we just got back to the bus and went home.
Were they black?
No. There was a gray one, a brown one. I think there was a black one as well, but I didn't get any hellhound, supernatural, any bad vibes. I think they were just wild dogs. But it could have been a serious accident. It could have come right into me had I walked at a normal pace that I was beforehand. So it could have been something to stop me from getting injured or something, or setting them off.
Wow.
My mother. Now, I think a lot of my experiences have to do with me spiritually, but this one I think is genetic because my mother, I talked to her about this type of stuff, and she had when she was a young kid too, and eventually it faded off in her teens like it did for me. So my mother's side of the family's had a history of this type of stuff happening to that age point, and then it would stop, but not my father's side. So I'm the only sibling out of 3 that have had this happen to them. No one else has had it.
You started having memories at the age of 6.
9.
Or 9, and
Yeah.
then it just never stopped. These things that happened to you.
These experiences, yeah. Oh, this is just the very top of the iceberg, because you talked a lot about this werewolf stuff. So it was about the age of 15. It was in my mid-teens. We went on a trip to British Columbia, right, which is right beside our province. I'm going to be very vague about this this story.
Yeah,
because,
don't give locations.
Yeah, because this
Please
location
don't.
still exists. I'm pretty sure I counted either black magic practitioners or actual werewolves. It was a wolf exhibit, right? There's a place they had some wolves, and there's a little like group of 3 women who were running this place, and that's all I'm going to kind of say. So we went there. I liked wolves as a kid. So my parents went, okay, let's go there. Let's have me see a bit of this site, and we'll see them. Then we'll go and continue on a vacation trip. So we go there. We see them. There's just a generic little wolf sanctuary. Nothing really special. We went into the gift store because I wanted to buy something to help support them. Right? I was trying to be a good guy, and I was a young kid. And the lady at the counter, we gave her the money. She handed me. I bought a hat. I still have the hat. And she gave me the hat, and she said, looking at me, and my parents weren't looking when this moment happened. She said, we and the wolves, thank you. And her eyes went amber gold, looking at me for just
We and the wolves think. Why would she say that?
Exactly, right? There was several of them there, and then the wolves, they had in these enclosures.
Oh, you gave me this story.
Did I?
Yeah, you gave
Did
me
I?
this story. I read this one. Yes, I did.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I never remembered hearing it on your shows. Shoot.
Yeah. That's crazy. You emailed me this, didn't you?
Yes, this was part of the email that I sent to you.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna reach. I think I did reach back out to you because we were gonna talk about this. Yeah, but I just got so darn busy this last couple of months. Yes, I remember this. But go ahead. I remember the story, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, and I'm just stammering as a kid because I don't know what to do, right? I'm just a young kid.
Yeah.
And so my parents, okay, great job, Sean. They bring me to the car and we continue on. So nothing else happens for a few days because we're traveling through BC. It takes a few days to get to Vancouver Island.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in Armstrong. I'm pretty sure it's Armstrong. It's right before Vancouver, proper, the city. So we have an aunt who lives out there. So we stop there for a few days to visit her before we continue on our vacation. So the first day we're there, we're at a hotel. This hotel, there's a highway and then the forest wilderness right beside us, at the edge of this small town. Unfortunately, it's also the murder capital of Canada at one point, which is unfortunate. So this bad stuff has happened here.
There was a lot of drug use there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it still goes on. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I absolutely feel sorry for everyone there. But we get into the truck, and to the bushes right beside us, there's this black, hunched over being entity with golden amber eyes looking at us. And my mother freaks out, pushes me in the car, gets in the car. Everyone gets in the car and just gets driving away, right? Everyone freaks out. They don't know what it is. And it's like right beside us. And push car and we go. And what's really strange about this is after about 10 minutes, I bring it up to everyone. No one else remembers it.
Wow.
And to this day, no one else in my family remembers it. It's only me. It's only me who remembers this.
That happens a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, that was crazy. I can't believe I didn't. So I'm going all over the place. So I'm missing important events from previous. So that's not my first encounter with, I believe, with one of these, whether it be your dogmen or werewolves or spirit imitating them. So I'm pretty sure I said in that email with you as well. I don't know if you remember it.
I do.
But you do, yeah. When I was very young in my bed, this is when I was atheist, and I did a prayer to give me a sign there's more to life and existence. And I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful. As much as this experience troubled a lot of people, in a way it saved my life, because I probably wouldn't have been here by now if I was atheist still, because I had just fallen into despair and depression. It would have been unbearable, right? Not knowing that there's more to life. But as I did this prayer, I roll in my bed and I feel a sensation on my leg. And it's strange. It feels like compassionate love, right? Like just something very positive, not negative, but really positive. It's strange. I know it's really strange. So I roll over and I look, and there's some big black entity hunched over my leg. It stops, and then it stands up and looks at me. It's got to be about 7 feet tall. Its head's almost to the ceiling. It's blacker than the entire room at night. And all I see is 2 golden eyes looking at me. And I pinch myself and make sure I'm awake. And yeah, I'm awake and I'm seeing this thing. And I had only been in bed for a few minutes at most. So I reach over, grab my flashlight, turn around, and it's gone. And that was kind of the real start of just the crazy amount of experiences I've had. It was those together.
So, you know, when you hear Sean talking about these experiences, and he doesn't have any memories prior to the age of 9, you wonder what are we missing? Like what happened? Like, I mean, imagine all the things that could have happened.
Well, I do.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
From prayer, very recently in my life, literally in the last just few months, I don't know exactly what have happened right before that, but I have somewhat of an idea. But that's quite out there. So I don't know if I want to share that because, again, I don't want to take up your entire show.
No. Let me bring Tyler on so he doesn't feel left out. Tyler, what's going on, man? And we're talking to Sean. And if you want to join in and co-host for us for a bit, that's fine. Tyler, wow, look at that. Look at that setup you got back there.
Hey,
nice.
Can you guys hear me well?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you great. Tyler, this is Sean. Tyler was at my conference, and I got to spend a lot of time with him and Sam one night. We had a great time talking at the conference. It was the night, Saturday night, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, you've been on Barton's show, right?
No, I was on Matt Emch's show.
Matt's show. I knew it was one of my friends there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's a good guy. He's got a good show. So, Sean, I don't know if you were listening, but Sean, so let me ask you this. Tyler, how old are you?
I'm 28.
I know, because I have that. I know how old Tyler. I know Tyler very well. But you guys are all around the same age, a few years apart, whatever. But how old were you when you started having memories? Like Sean says he was 9. Anthony said he had a little bit, but mostly when he was like 6 or 7. And how old were you, DJ Tyler?
Probably my best reference is like school, and it's probably kindergarten. Is like, and I don't know what age that is, but I was in kindergarten. Like, those are my earliest memories. Was in kindergarten.
So you would have been about 5 or 6. You don't have anything before that.
Not really. Like I have like, ironically enough, one of my experiences was something I remember, but it was before then. But no, before then. That's kind of when it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that I keep saying that. I said this like 10 years ago on Facebook, and all the Gen Xers were like, well, I remember my being a toddler, blah, blah, blah. And everybody in your generation, Anthony, was like, y'all are weird. I don't remember until I'm 7. It was like, and then you remember.
It's like we don't even become conscious until 5 to 6, 7.
Most people were 6 or 7 years old. And the Gen Xers were talking about remember things when they were 2 or 3. And, the millennials were like, we don't remember none of that. And nobody remembered that.
What if we were all just like soulish, like meat puppets until like 5 or 6?
It's a possibility.
I mean, I remember because I was working so damn much, but I have a bunch of nieces and nephews, but I was working so much that I didn't really get to deal with my nieces and nephews as much as I would have liked. Because you, Anthony, you asked the question. You were like, where were you?
Yeah.
And where was I? I was keeping y'all safe. That's why. Because if you were doing things back in the old days, you didn't want people to know anything about your family because then they become a liability. And so I stayed away. But that was, it was painful to not be able to be a part of people's lives, but eventually when I was able to break away, I had a really weird situation one time, and I'm not going to get into a long dissertation here, but this guy he was cocky enough to believe that he was going to do something to me. And he was there at the bar and he thought he was going to talk to me before he did something. And he was sitting there and he asked me this weird question I'll never forget. he said, "What's the earliest memory you have?" Because he was making this little reference to after what he did to me, it was going to be the last memory I ever had. And so he asked me, and I had not thought about it until this would-be assassin was telling me. He was like, "What's the earliest memory you have?" And I was like, we were taking shots, and I said, I remember being maybe 1.5, 2, maybe, falling off a horse named Chance. It was my grandfather's horse. You know, and I used to ride horses until I was like 15. I was always around animals. And I told him, I said, "What is your first memory?" And he said something stupid. I remember, like, he slapped his doctor or some crap, you know, and I'm like, doctor, and I slapped the doctor, and I was like, wow, that's. And then I said something really dumb. I was like, well, that doctor must have been really weak to let you slap him.
I remember pooping my pants for the first time.
And what's so funny is, like, he was getting ready to do whatever he was going to do, and my brother and everybody were upstairs, and I was just biding my time until they got their drunk asses downstairs and got rid of him. And then, stupidly, I mean, it didn't pan out the way he wanted it to, but because people think that the world is like a movie, having this monologue. They're like,
that, dude.
Yeah, you've seen it happen.
Yeah, like, when people are like the main characters of a movie that's only taking place in their heads. You want to just like, it's like you want to see a wrecking ball just come and like smack them into reality.
Well, you remember when the incident? Okay, this is kind of funny, guys. And we were at the gym, and we were doing security. You remember when the guy broke the guy's leg?
Yeah.
Okay, so I literally, basically, I had to assault this dude. He had done some crap, but he was over there like giving me this little speech, and all I was doing was looking up where the camera was and maneuvering him off the camera, and then I was just like, bam, bam, That's real life. That is brutal. That is quick, and it is efficient, and it's over. I don't know what movie you're playing in your head that you're telling me that's going to happen, and how you did this, and why this guy got. I don't give a crap why you did what you did. At that point in time, I really did not care. All I cared about was the bottom line. And then afterwards, I was all like, "Oh crap!" The dude sat up, and I was like, "Dude, are you okay? You just fell and hit your head on the trash can."
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah.
And the guy thought he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then the movie he was playing in his head was over, and it was reality time.
Yeah. The Eye of the Tiger music stopped playing. The montage in his head just got interrupted with a record scratch.
And for the rest of his life, he had the brain damage. And so, but then the police came, and they were like, "Why are people falling down around you?" I don't know why you do clumsy. And they were like, "I remember you from 6th Street. I remember you, this one cop, he kept,
Oh, they get starstruck around me, officer. They lose their bearings.
They just fall over. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
One cop kept watching me, couldn't steal nothing because he was watching me hard, I was like, but whatever. But the point is that these people, they do this. And they would come up to the club, and they would stand there, and they would talk, and they would say all these ridiculous things. And the people I worked with, they were Lebanese, and they always had fresh fruit right there in this big bowl. And so I'd be peeling an orange or eating an apple, and I'd be like, "Oh, wow, you're going to do that to my ass and this to my ass? I'm going to need preparation H. Boy, this is terrible. But when I'm done eating this, I'm going to beat your ass into another dimension." You have that long before you get your ass whooped in front of everybody out here. So keep talking, and then I hardly ever said shit back until I beat their ass. But people always, they think that they're in some kind of movie in their mind or some shit, It's crazy, man. And we see it with these homeless people too. Like the other day, remember the guy in the garage? He was screaming all these things. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a crap what you're saying or why you're saying it. I mean, it's going to end like this really quickly. And you're going to be on the street where you belong. You're going to be you're going to be expurgated.
Cinematic perception of yourself. Just gets
it's not going to be cinematic.
Quick.
Yeah. But I think that what happens with y'all's generation, though, I wish somebody would write about this or start talking more about it, because there is something wrong there. Yeah. There is a serious gap between you guys and us. And I've said this before for years. That doesn't make any sense. Now, some people have suffered trauma, abuse in some form or another, Now that can create, like a schism where you kind of break off, whatever. But I think for the most part, it's probably pollutants. maybe vaccinations. I mean, they put mercury in this stuff. There's a lot of things that shouldn't be the way they are.
And
You know, one thing
I think it's got a lot
too.
to do with the baby formula too. That stuff is terrible.
Go ahead, Tyler. What'd you say?
Oh, right on. I was gonna say one thing too is like, I don't know. For example, like you open Facebook and you're just bombarded with video after video, and it's like, I don't know, like it's like nonstop, like stimulation, and I feel like I don't know, like from all the
doom
stuff
scrolling.
we see, it's almost like we've experienced so much because we're like, we've been able to like see all this stuff even though we're not actually there. Like you'll see stuff from across the world, like just on
constant negativity being stabbed at us.
Yeah,
you've seen 78,000 murders by the time you're 40. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know if that's a legit number. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right?
I mean, it sounds about right.
Completely desensitized to like witnessing even real violence. You know.
Well, look at what happens now when somebody's being stabbed to death. They're like,
"Oh, fuck yeah, I hate that too. I hate that.
What are you doing? I mean, I get the guy has a knife, but you can't do.
You're actually statistically speaking, you're safer. You're more likely to be helped if you're being assaulted in like an area
with less people.
Yeah, with fewer people than you are if you get attacked in like the middle of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, New York City. That's New York City.
They did
I mean, like even
any city. Yeah. They did an experiment recently. It was in like it wasn't England. It was not France, Belgium. They did this experiment where they were grabbing this kid off of the street, and most of the people were just looking. And
I saw that.
Walking.
Yeah.
And you were just like going like, what is this?
Because the more people that there are like around you, the more
they think someone else is going to do it.
Yeah, I think someone else will call the police and handle it. It's not my problem.
I'm not no hero. I'm not no Spider-Man. I'm not going to swoop in, whatever. But if I see somebody grab a kid or a woman, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah,
I have the ability to do something. Come on. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw a video where a squirrel's like caught in a fence and the dude's just videoing it. And I'm like, I don't know, like you can like, I don't know, like I don't know, if you're not going to help it, don't like make fun of it.
That's ridiculous.
I was like, what the
hell? I mean, and it's sad because these people, they don't have any kind of concept of morality. And then they even laugh at people who do. Like it becomes like a joke.
Yeah,
it's the cult of ignorance that becomes the cult of death.
You're one of those crazy people,
Mm-hmm.
With it all said, there are good people out there, and there are people trying to be making more of a difference now. I've seen videos where they even like help wild animals and stuff if it's safe to do so, when they're like caught in a fence or something. So there are good people out there, and I think as a generation and a society and as humanity, we have to begin kind of trying to overcome all this evil in this world. And really, by the end of one of the most major kind of like knowledge intakes I've had through prayer, I'm living proof that the only way to overcome evil is with good, and love is, as it says in the Bible, the only way. It's the only way. Because I've learned a lot about myself, and I think I have kind of a bit of the understanding of why I've had so much supernatural experiences, and it has to do a lot more on the spiritual side with kind of who I actually am spiritually. And I'll maybe say that for later. That's a big in-depth one. I have to kind of explain several things to get to that point of answer.
Jesus says love covers a multitude of sins.
Yes.
That's why whenever you die, the biggest question is going to be, do you die in hate? Do you die with a grudge? Do you die angry and hating people? Do you forgive? And do you truly love? My neighbor recently, he was out there. Turns out he was taking pictures of every little thing he could. Mm-hmm. And turning it over to the HOA and giving us violation to violation, which has made our lives miserable over there. And as much as he angered me today, I'm like, I don't hate him. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to do anything to him. We're just going to leave, and I'll pay what I got to pay, and then pay him no mind, and that's it. because today I was just like, man, F that guy. I was in a bad mood because of it.
Yeah.
He had talked smack to Tony when Tony caught him, taking pictures and stuff, and I'm like, we got a violation for a stick in our yard. A stick.
Then there was a violation for too much grass, and there was a violation for not enough grass.
And it was him the whole time doing it. And my other neighbor had told me it was him because he'd been doing it to him too for years.
Yeah.
He even got it to where people couldn't have Christmas lights. He complained so much that everybody was scared to put Christmas lights up. So the neighborhood's gone to shit because of this dude. And then he asked me a question. He goes, "Why do you need to have all those vehicles?" That's exactly how he talks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why do you need to ask that question? It's because I work for a living and 3 of them are work vehicles. Don't worry about it. It's not like I have them all over my yard or it's like trashy or something.
Junkyard.
It's like, don't worry about it, dude. I mean, we have a business, and there's some up here at the office here, but like I said, some of them got vandalized. Well, one of them, I say some, but the other one didn't. I thought the other one did, but I think one of the guards did something stupid. And I was like, did that happen? The guard's like, yeah. No, you just did something stupid. The other car did get vandalized. But the thing is that really aggravates me about these people is that they're like stumbling blocks that are there to, and if you let it get to you, then you are failing. So you can't let that happen. You know what I mean?
Because you're not breaking the cycle if you don't, like, if you just kind of reflect that negativity back to them. Like at some point, someone has to step in and like handle that with love, like actual genuine, like doing the right thing. But that's easier said than done.
Yeah, HOAs are hell. They really are, and they're just there to make people's life miserable.
Yeah.
And then we had this thing now in our neighborhood where people will park their spare car in front of your house, so you'll get the violation.
Yeah.
Because the system is set up to where everybody tattles on everybody, and I don't even tattle on people. I don't care. But I had to finally tell this one lady, I said, look, you keep parking your spare car over here in between mine and the neighbor and the other neighbors, I'm getting the violation or he's getting it. Why are you doing this? And then she sat there and said, my car is right there in the driveway. I said, yeah, but half the time it's in front of my house. And Dumbo over there thinks it's mine. And I was like, I would never drive that. So whatever. It's obviously not a car that I would drive. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to make fun of it or whatever. But that's not a car I would drive. I'm a big dude. That's a little car. You and Tony each have trucks.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, this is stupid, and so I could understand if you had like a car lot and you're out there working on them all the time or something.
Like
not nothing
that's
like
one
that.
thing.
It's just ridiculous. So, Sean, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I've just scratched the surface. I can talk about. So I'll let you kind of take your pick here because I don't want.
Well, I read the email, so let's do this because we have a bunch of other stuff, and then we only got like so much time. So, Tyler, I want to talk to you too. We need to set up a time for you to come on, and I was going to say maybe Tuesday you could come on and we could do 6 to 8, you and me. And you could talk or whatever. And then I was thinking, we've done the UAP every Saturday since February. That's hard to believe. We were just going to do a month-long project, but then it turned into February, March, April, May. And now here we are in the middle of June. So let's do something different for a little while. And I was thinking the call-in thing just kind of happened tonight. I would like to do this again.
Yeah, it seems to be a kind of a hit.
Yeah. So, Sean, if you would be so gracious as to come back and fill in the blanks. I did read your email, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get people's emails mixed up. And then the other day, Tony tried to act like he knows. He was like, oh, I read that email. And Anthony's like, oh, yeah, what did it say?
Whenever Tony started
and then Tony was like, that's the one where the guy was talking about the thing that happened over at the other thing where there was this thing and then the thing went like, that was crazy. Like, shut up.
Whenever Tony says he knows something, that's a huge red flag.
Red flag.
That's how you know he's lying, is when he's saying he knows.
He says he knows.
When he's saying he knows anything, it's like, That's a lie.
And then he
Everything
goes,
you're about to say is not true.
what is his favorite thing he does? He's like, I knew you guys wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
Like, because you didn't do it. That's
Yeah.
why. Like,
Yeah, I mean, oh, you mean we're not going to believe you when you have no idea what you're talking about? Well, color me shocked.
he's probably at the house going,
Not even aware we're live.
he is, because he texted her. He's on there. He's over there like flipping out. He's probably and got Banjo riled up. Banjo like it's funny because like Banjo, like if you go to pretend like you're gonna hit him, like hit Tony, Banjo goes nuts. But if I go to hit Tony, Banjo rolls over and just doesn't do nothing.
And then if Tony pretends to hit anyone, he'll turn on Tony.
He'll turn on Tony.
He just doesn't like violence.
He doesn't like violence. He's a good little dog.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I'll be like, look, Banjo, I'm hitting Tony. He just goes, okay. And he doesn't do anything. He will not attack me. And Tony's like, man, this sucks.
He's like, oh, the alpha is hitting him. Never mind.
You deserve it.
Sorry, bro. There's nothing I can do for you, Tony. I love you. You know we're boys, but it's out of my hands.
I think Tony gets upset with it too. It's like when he sees me, he comes running to me. And Tony's like, it's my dog. Like, dude. And he's a good little dog. I like Banjo a lot, man. He was a little castaway, man. Can you believe somebody just dumped him?
Yeah.
A cute little dog.
Yeah, Tony found him like
under some pallets.
Yeah, under some pallets covered in ants. He was looking for something to eat, like by the dumpster.
Yeah, it was horrible. So let's plan for Tuesday. Are you available Tuesday?
I think I am. Yeah. Yeah, I should be. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
not, but I'm pretty sure I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a blueberry. So we'll reconvene, Sean. You come back next Saturday, and let's finish up.
I would love to.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you run, Sean, but we'll talk again. And I do have your email. I did read it.
Okay, perfect.
And we can talk. You can just come back and pick up where you left off, and we'll just go through it again. And Tyler, I will see you on Tuesday at 6 p.m. and we'll do this live.
Yeah, heck yeah.
You got some stuff to talk about. I like the hat you're wearing too, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the old camo right there. That's it right there. Wait till you guys see the shirts. I think next week they'll be out. Those shirts. Yeah. Let me know, Tyler, and Sean, I'll send one to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just send me your information. Well, I already got your email, but just send me an email saying your shirt size, remind me, whatever. I'll send it to you guys. I'm going to let you run, okay, Sean?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you again.
All right. No problem. So, folks, that was Sean. I'm going to bring on another guy. Tyler, you can hang out and co-host if you want.
Man.
So who do we got here? We got Psych.
Hey.
Beautiful kitty there. What kind of kitty cat is that?
Beautiful cat.
That's Lenore.
He's a good looking. Is that a female or a male?
Yeah, it's a girl cat.
Yeah.
Aw. Hello.
Seems like a sweetheart.
Hi.
Hey, so Psyche awakens Oracle. What does that mean? What is that?
Well, when I was like about 8 years old, I was at a church carnival and I had a tarot reading. And the tarot reader said I would be a psychic one day or a tarot reader one day. And she was right. And
so you became a tarot card reader.
Yeah. So I read tarot cards and I'm a little bit of a psychic.
So do you believe that it's correct to do that? Or, I mean, like, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, do you think that it's...
Well, I believe that I'm more of an oracle, where I would say like I'm not a fortune teller and I don't tell anybody's future. I believe that the future is like up to God. And so in the tarot cards, I look into symbolism and I look into the present and current energies and how to best proceed for the best future for people. So I don't predict the future. I'm not a fortune teller, but I believe that I can give guidance and help people like do introspection into themselves and that kind of thing.
How long have you been doing it?
So, well, I've been doing it professionally for about 5 years now, and I had a good thing running on Etsy for a while during the pandemic, and I'm just restarting it right now.
So whenever do you charge people for that? Is it like you make a living at it, or what do you do?
Well, yeah, when I was on Etsy, I did, but I mean, like any of my friends, I do for free, And
Is
I'll
it
be
pretty
happy to-
accurate what you do?
Yeah, I would say very accurate. I mean, it's a very good. I say the cards are never wrong, really, because they tell you the straight up truth, and they just give people guidance into the future, into how to best proceed.
So did you have an experience? Did something happen to you?
Well, I grew up in a really interesting place in Palos Verdes Estates, California.
Hmm.
And in Palos Verdes Estates, there's a statue of Neptune right in the center of the city. And there's peacocks, like natural peacocks that live around there. Right?
You know what that means, right?
About the peacocks?
Yeah.
Well, I know that they're associated with the goddess Hera,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the most beautiful bird. They also had the peahens. Like the peahens are the female peacocks, and they're like gray and just very. They look like gray turkeys, but the male peacocks have the beautiful tails and get all the attention, really. And,
Hera was an evil witch. She was mean.
Yeah, she was the wife of Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
And
she was the one that made Hercules' life hell.
Yeah,
she was literally the evil stepmother. But the peacock god, which is what the Yazidi worship, the peacock god, is associated with Lucifer.
Yeah.
And they actually believe that he was gifted this world by the one true God. And that's why when Jesus came, he told them, because they're a type of Gnostic, but they're a Gnostic. It's called Gnostic. What's it called? They have it's Gnosticism, but it's a different type of Gnosticism. And they believe that God, the one true God that exists above the seventh heaven, gave the devil, which we would think of as the devil, the rebellious one, he was given this world. And they believe that it is this is what the Yazidi believe. I'm not saying this is what I believe, because this is not my belief. But they believe that it is our job to forgive him because God did. And that we have to suffer through the trials and tribulations of this world that he is the master of, so that we can transcend and go to the next world, which is not necessarily where the one true God exists. We have to go through the seventh heaven God, which is another God, kind of sort of, like an intermediate that rules the heavens. But then above the heavens, and get this, there is the one true God. Now, the Gnostic, it's a very Gnostic belief, but the Gnostics don't say that Lucifer is the God of this world. They say that Shaitan, that is, that's who rules this world. But Jesus tells us, that the God of this world is Shaitan. But Shaitan is also a title and a race of beings. The Hashatan or the Shadim, depending on how you say it. There's different ways to say what it is. But everybody has a piece of the puzzle, but we all are still lacking. That's the problem. But once you start thinking, oh, I figured it out, I got it all figured out, I know everything. There's no way. You can't possibly learn it all within one lifetime. And I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. No, I don't practice magic. I'm not a sorcerer. I'm not satanic, and I don't worship anything but God. There's people that'll say these ridiculous things. If I wanted to, I could. It would be ridiculous to do that, because I wouldn't give anything for my journey now. I wouldn't give up my faith for some tokens, But anyway, just throwing that out there. You're talking about the peacock. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but that actually does represent something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interestingly, like Lucifer is described in Ezekiel, I believe, as God's covering cherub. And then
Go ahead.
Well, he fell from grace because we wanted to start his own world, and so that's what basically the earth is, like his attempt at starting his own world,
which is a counterfeit world. Yeah.
Counterfeit world. Mm-hmm. But I believe that he is one of God's children, and I believe that God will forgive him. I believe his sin was pride, and
which is probably the worst. It really is the worst sin.
yeah, pride and lust, I would say.
Yeah. And lust can be many things. You can lust with envy, because lust can be compounded with other, like lust with jealousy. You can be driven mad with it. You lust for gold, you lust for power, you lust for all these things, and you want. Now in Taoism, they say like lust, it's called want. That's all suffering is caused by want, because you want this, you want that, and you don't really need it. Like today, I went to go look at a truck, and it was nice. It was beautiful. It was a powder blue Tundra, and I walked away from it because I don't need it. I wanted it, but I wanted it more than the car I have now. This is just sitting there doing nothing, and so I could have done it, but then I just thought about it, and I thought, you know what? I'm just not gonna. I'm not comfortable with it. So something just made me not do it. I don't know what it was. It was just like, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be late for the show, and I'd rather be on time for the show, even though I had no clue what we were going to do, because my guy from Norway didn't, I don't know what happened to him. He faded out. Hopefully the dogmans didn't get him, because that's what we were going to talk about. But yeah, and so we ended up doing this. But look at this. Now we got a new something here. This is good. You know, we might do this every Saturday. Just because we did the UAP project, the Saturday was not a normal TRT day. But now something has happened, and we're like, hey, here we go. I think that the suffering, like I said, it comes from want. And that's, like you said, lust. You know, that's what it does. And then of course, pride. Because pride will lead you to not forgive. It will lead you to hate. It will lead you to anger. And it will lead you to believe that you are God. One of the biggest problems, I'm a 7 life path, and they say that 7 life paths are in danger of thinking that they're like God because they're intelligent and they have spiritual ability. So then they start thinking like, I am somebody, and you should always remember that you ain't. God is the I am, not you. Let's just throw that out there. And so one of the things too, people, you got to remember, I'm not a believer that God has all these human characteristics. I don't believe all that. And so whenever someone says, they try to correct me, they're like, oh, but you said that that's not. Well, I'm telling people, well, that's the human version of what they think God is. That's you putting your humanity onto him. That's not what he is. That's not who he is. But Jesus he tells us, I mean, you know, like he doesn't even he calls himself the Son of Man for a reason, you know, because there's a connection there, but we are not God. Like the Mormons believe that you can make yourself gods, and so do certain Buddhists. And the Hindus believe eventually you will ascend and become a part of God, which is Brahman, to them. But then Christianity, some sections of Christianity will say the same thing. Your job is to get back to the source, which is where that's where the true God lies. So Psyche, tell us what happened to you. Give us a story before we bounce here.
Okay. Well, in 2012, sorry, you know, in 2012, I was on Facebook a lot, and I was posting like pictures with inspirational messages, and this woman started to interact with me on Facebook, and I won't say her name, but her last name was Vasquez, and the pictures she showed me pictures of her daughter, and it looked like she was with it was like a younger Mexican woman, and that's all I really knew about her. And when we started talking, and we almost had a psychic connection, and I don't know if you believe in like Illuminati, but I was thinking like she was Illuminati, like definitely, and she would she would put me in chats with her ex-boyfriends, and they would say they had quite an experience with her and everything, and eventually. I ended up meeting her, and instead of like a younger Mexican woman, she was this she was a 54-year-old white woman, and she looked kind of like if you put on a kind of a brown wig, Josh, she kind of resembled you.
The woman, your ex?
Yeah, the woman. Yeah.
She looked like me.
Well, yeah, she was a heavyset woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you
But,
saying Josh
yeah, we
Turner
ended up-
looks like a heavyset woman?
Well, I once I made a joke that Josh resembles the lady that bags the groceries at Whole Foods for me.
Wow.
And you kind of got to laugh about that, but
She
yeah,
must be hot.
she
Yeah.
was yeah.
This
Yeah,
is a hot
she
chick,
must
man.
have
I'm
been.
digging it. I'm digging
She must look like a good-looking man.
it. Good looking man.
That's a handsome
Well, she
woman.
did.
Let's give her a hand.
I've always identified myself as a gay man, and then this is the first woman I started talking to, and then I met her in person, and then one night, the first night we met her, she started she started giving me a massage, and
Well, let's not get graphic.
yeah, I won't get too graphic, but
And then y'all played Parcheesi the rest of the night
yeah.
and drank Fanta. Yeah, that's a good story.
Yeah, but eventually we did start dating, and so I have a few notes, but it was an unexplainable attraction to her. She wore these feather earrings in her ears. Like the first night we met her, she was very into like Native American and Tibetan Buddhism, and then she described herself as a Heyoka. And then she said she was part of the Thunder Clan tribe, the Thunderbird tribe.
You know what a Heyoka is, folks?
And the Heyoka, I believe, is a sacred clown.
Yeah. It's actually, they're very empathic. Like they have the ability to read emotions and they can actually do all kinds of things. It's very interesting. And it is a Lakota tradition. Yeah. But go ahead.
And she had some very interesting stories too. Like, well, her last name was Vasquez. That's why I thought she was Hispanic. But it was actually turned out her ex-husband was named Vasquez, and he was killed one night by, I guess, robbers in her house, and she was the one that found the body.
Okay, yeah.
There's an interesting story there, and so she was 55 years old, and one night she made spaghetti for dinner, or she brought over this Italian food for dinner, and this is before I was really really knowledgeable in witchcraft and everything, and the red sauce and everything. But I ate the spaghetti.
Oh no. Okay, now here, before you go any further, I can already tell you, the Lakota Angel hit the nail on the head. See, and then Rita says they do everything backwards. I'm gonna explain. Get a little. Do you know about the Heyoka? You yourself?
Me? Well, I've been more versed on it since, and she said I was one as well.
Well, you might be, but like Lakota says, they're two-spirited people. I mean, they're like Jainism almost. That's what it's almost like how they believe. Two-faced people, you know. And they have this ability because the other, which is actually them. Okay. Now there is a theory, and I had this theory. I thought about it before, like maybe people that were in the womb, they absorb their twin, or they have like another twin that dies in the womb, whatever. That twin walks with them and is kind of in their body with them. And that is something that I myself have personally theorized on. I don't know that that's the case. I've read about it. But I would say this, when you have the duality, there's all kinds of things that can happen because you have yourself being unbridled in one side and then being covered on the other side. Sometimes that one side unleashes something that can be very bad. You know what I mean? Because you're getting that permission. And instead of having some sort of, I guess let's put it this way. We were talking earlier about it. You have something that's your inner monologue that says, don't do that. But then you have something that's there telling you, I agree with you. I am in, agreement with you to do this thing. You know what I mean? And it can be very bad. I guess you call it bad medicine can take place. They can be healers too, though. I mean, that's the thing. But it is a duality. They can be awful, awful people, or they can be very, very good because they have that ability, because it's almost like they're two people. Yeah, they have the ability and the soul and the power of two people. But everybody has that, but not the Heyoka is a very unique thing. And the empathy, the empathicness they have is astounding. But go ahead.
Well, they also the gets the Hiyoko Kachina is displayed as like wearing black and white stripes, and during their rituals, they would like defy all conventions, and they were basically the clowns of the tribe, and that kind of thing. And they would do the opposite of what was expected, and they would laugh when everyone was crying, and that kind of thing. But she was also versed in Tantra, and this is before I knew anything about Tantra at all. And this is kind of to do with Buddhism, where in Buddhism you'll present yourself or visualize yourself as one of the deities, and basically in Tantra it's the gods having sex. This is before I knew anything. So one of the first times we were together, probably after one of the spaghetti dinners. So I guess we put our hands together, and she went from a 55-year-old white woman, 300 pounds, and she transformed before my eyes into a 21-year-old Indian woman. I remember she had like braided, like 2 braids of hair. She had ornamental jewelry, and was very beautiful. And this was the first time I had really seen like such a metaphysical transformation in front of my eyes, which really got me really kind of messed up my head a little bit. But this is one of the first times I've seen such a kind of transformation. And she would also talk about the Heiyoko being shapeshifters and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I always talked to some kind of shape-shifting thing. And other times she told me to look into her eyes, and her eyes turned into like bright red. Oh man.
Yeah, you pretty much did everything you're not supposed to do. So if a witch house comes to you on chicken legs, you're just gonna go in and eat whatever's in there?
It's like Baba Yaga.
The Baba Yaga. It's like, come on, it's all good inside. Let's hang out. Let's play video games. He's like, sure. You seem like a nice enough lady.
We have
and I did later have experiences with the Russian
Xbox Live in here.
Too.
Climb into the oven. That's where the other controller's at.
You want one of those PlayStations, Sonny?
It's like,
we have the PS4, 5, whatever number you kids are on these days.
We have Fallout.
Yeah.
Come on, the original. You're like, that game is old. I mean, the new one. What is the new one called? Whatever that one. That's the one we have.
Well, we have Metal Gear Solid. Just come on, get in.
Twisted Metal. We have Twisted Metal.
You like Spyro the Dragon?
And I do love Russian fairy tales.
He ends up becoming like the like the advisor to the Baba Yaga. Look, you got to get with the times. You're behind.
Yeah.
You're not going to get kids into this.
You got to relate to these kids, Miss
Yeah.
Yaga.
You know what? You need to update here. Like, what is this? I mean, you got like Parappa the Rapper. Come on, this is not going to work.
We need to renovate this house.
Exactly. You know,
you're playing Grandmaster Flash, Lure the Man. It's not working.
Diablo 2. I mean, it was good, but it's dated. Yeah.
You
know, come on.
Wait, so which one of the? Okay, so which form was this woman's true form? Like, what did was it? Was it the overweight white woman, or was it like the beautiful young native woman?
I only saw the beautiful young woman that one time, I would say.
Okay, so I'd say she was the big girl.
Yeah. Yeah. She was, and
the one that looked like me.
Yeah, she looked. Yeah, the one that looked like
okay, I got to admit it, folks. It was me. I was playing you, man. Well, I became a beautiful 20-year-old.
You passed the test.
You passed the test. That's right. You know this story though. I mean, like when you the clown thing, the Shoshone, and well, now it's weird because it was just a Shoshone legend. Now it's a Shoshone/Arapaho legend, and because on the Wind River Reservation they share the land. You know, the casino there. They will have nice shirt. They will have like these people that will see this clown that looks like a clown, like a white man clown. But the natives don't, their clown is not the same as that. It's not. It wears a mask. They just put on like a mask with feathers and things like that, and dances around. That's not. It's not like with the John Wayne Gacy with the nose. And you never seen a clown before? And that not him. But that's what But it's really weird because the Japanese have their own version of this Heyoka, the clown. It's really the kitsune. And then you have the Chinese version of it too. I mean, there's all these different versions of it. The Indian version from India, So there's got to be something to this. These legends we explore, But anyways, so continue. Sorry, I just get on a tangent, but I just wanted to give some insight into the story.
Well, eventually she became way too clingy and started getting scary, and I eventually broke up with her. And the night we broke up, she took me in her car and she started going like 120 miles an hour down the freeway, and I really thought she was going to kill me that night. But
see, that's where you messed up, breaking up with her while she was in the driver's seat.
And another thing too, they also, some of these have the ability, depending on what tribe. There's an Algonquin, or no, it was an Algonquin. It was a Huron legend, I believe. And it was like there was the Otter Woman, but she was like immortal. She would just change bodies. So she would have memories of her past life. And if you were a lover of hers in a past life and you were reincarnated, you wouldn't know it.
No.
She would remember you and hunt you down.
That's not fair.
And then you would become the love of her life all over again. And she would torture you. I'm convinced that all of my exes were that. Every one of them.
Well, there's also the Selkie. I don't know if you've heard of the Selkie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Scottish folklore, and it's the seal women. And there's these. They look like seals, and then they come out of their skins, and they're beautiful women. And then if they ever find their skin again, they grab it and go back into the water. But I eventually did break up with her, and we haven't talked since. But that experience kind of took me off of dating either men or women for the past 15 years, and so.
Yeah, I would say so. I think I would be done. I'd just be asexual for a while. That would be probably it for me. Lakota's Angel says Lakota's boundary eastward to Montana, westward to Minnesota. Yes, and they defeated many, many enemies to expand that border. The Lakota were very, very powerful. The word Sioux, which actually is a word that means poop, they gave them that name, and it was partially derogatory, but the Pawnee and the Blackfoot both gave them that name because of their penchant for sticking their arrowheads into feces. Because if you get shot with an arrow, you can live, but if it gives you sepsis, you don't. So it was quite smart the way that they did that. Yes, Spilling Tea got it from the arrows. Yeah, there you go. So that's a bit of their history of why they did that, whatever. And it was oftentimes in buffalo poop. I can tell you this. There's certain the First Nations, as they call it. There's a lot of them that have certain stories that are just absolutely rife with just all kinds of shape-shifting and magic and all this stuff, but a lot of it was an oral tradition, which is why people who were storytellers were very important, because they could pass it down. But it was also important that you kept it pure and you didn't add your own mixture of whatever your own belief and prejudices were. And that's oftentimes like there'll be people who won't like him because of his orientation or because of his playing with tarot. I say playing, and I'm not being derogatory. I'm saying because you mess with them, whatever. But I'm not passing judgment on you. Now, me personally, I would never mess with tarot. I had a reading one time, but it wasn't. I didn't ask for it. My friend's sister did it, and she told me about it, and then she was correct. Everything she said came true. So I was like, wow. So I mean, I believe that it is possible, but I don't mess with it. I'm not going to pass judgment on you for doing it. But do you believe in Christ? Do you have?
Yes, and I would say I ask everything I do. I ask for guidance from the Most High God, and you know, I would say I'm a born again Christian, and I really do use it with the best intention and wanting to help people. Not to there's people that use it to spy on people, and to figure out what other people are doing, and I use it to help people find the best solutions for themselves, and I just use it with the best intentions, I would say, and I do ask the Most High God for guidance on everything.
Intent is everything. If you are a part of a religion, let's just say, for example, you're a sect of Buddhism or whatever, your intention is everything.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that what you're doing is good and you're doing it with the purpose and that is it's good, then that is very, very important. Because if you're doing something and it's bad, it doesn't matter what the end result is. For you, the end result is the same because you were doing it from an impure place. It's just the truth. I tell people that all the time. Karma will smack your ass because you know what you were doing. And you're like, oh, well, it all worked out. Yeah, but did it really? You know,
I think even that doing good with the wrong intentions is actually worse than doing something wrong in ignorance. You know, like these people who go around filming themselves, like giving food and money to homeless people. Like they're doing a good thing, but you know that if that camera wasn't there, that they'd just walk right over them. They don't care. It's just
unless there's two ways to look at that, though, and some people will do it so they can get others to do that because look, this is what you should be doing. But yeah, you're right. More often than not, they're doing it for clicks and views. You know, they're trying to get you to take a look at it so they can be like, look at me, I'm doing something good. Well, you're not supposed to get a pat on the back for that. That's what you're supposed to do.
No.
I mean, you know, nowadays people are like, I did something good. Where's my party? You're like, dude, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You ain't supposed to get rewarded for that. I mean, that's like me paying somebody to do their job, and they're like, I did my job. I'm like, yeah, and I paid you.
Where's my bonus?
I paid you. I mean, what do you want now? Well, I want a foot massage. You know, where is it? You know, that's not how it works. I mean, you know, you're supposed to get which, you know, honest day's pay, honest day's work, but you're supposed to do good, you know, and not be rewarded for it. You just do it because that's what you're supposed to do. But nowadays it's so rare. It's like, wow, that guy, you know what? He actually helped that person. Wow. Well, how is that shocking? That should be, that should just be standard procedure. It used to be in my grandparents' age, that was just what you were supposed to do. They all had a garden, and they would be like, well, the family down the street, when I was there in the summer, we would pick vegetables and we'd give part of it to the family down the street that didn't have a garden. You know, they were more elderly and they had, you know, they weren't well, you know, that's just what you're supposed to do. It's part of community. My grandparents instilled community in me. You know, the Sikhs are very big on that. Very big on that. And then, you know, people always attack them. Oh, they're towel heads and this and that, whatever. I was like, yeah, well, they actually care about people. You know, I've known some really good ones. But so thanks for tuning in, guys, for showing up on the show. Tyler, I'm going to see you on Tuesday. Let's do it 6:00, man.
Right
I want
on.
to get that done. And you tarot lover,
Heretic.
you
Hey,
Blasphemer.
Can
What's
I
up,
tell
man?
you the can I tell you the Midnight Man ritual before I go?
What is it? Does it involve something weird and scary?
Well, you know, it was basically said to be an old pagan ritual. It uses punishment for those who dare to defy the gods, but it is kind of scary and unusual. I think everyone would enjoy it.
Well, I'm out of time right now, and I got to head to the house. But I'd love to hear, you know, but can you come back next Saturday and we'll talk?
Sure, I'd love to.
Yeah, you and we got Sean. Sean will come back. Y'all jump on again, and we'll come back. And then Tyler, I got you on Tuesday. Me and Tyler have been talking about this for a while anyway. Come back. We'll talk again. Beautiful cat. And I'll tell you this, folks, be here tomorrow. Okay. because we're going to get into some stuff tomorrow. I'm tempted to say what we're going to talk about, but I'm excited. Just be here tomorrow. It's going to be good. We're going to retell people's encounters tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, 7:15 at the latest. Hopefully we'll get going. Definitely going to have you guys come back. I think that Saturdays we're going to move in another direction now. Just kind of happened. PRT, we roll with the punches. They always think they're going to put me in a corner and beat me down. It's like, how did he get out of that? Oh, gee, it's called a brain. You know, he's practicing magic. He uses his head to do things. I don't understand it. But that's just PRT, man. That's what we do. And we're all family here. We're all together. You know, we're all in this together. If people would look at things more like that.
Yeah.
You know, and they make these jokes about cults and stuff like that. It's like, if I was running a cult, it'd be a lot different than this. Okay. You know, we'd be doing some stuff. We're not doing none. We're just here to try to we're like a family.
At the very least, we'd have some cooler uniforms than what we're
Cooler uniforms. We'd get them made by Hugo Boss.
Yeah.
Okay. The Italians and the Germans, World War II, weren't wrong about that part. They had the uniform down.
Yeah. Like those Italian futurists, the way they dressed was like
Cobra,
sci-fi.
man, from G.I. Joe. Cobra they had sharp.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at Cobra the other day. Their little helmets were a mixture of the German and the Russian helmets. They combined them and they made the German and the Russian helmet like it's like the ultimate evils together and one little soldier, you know. Which is probably why I was like, man, the Cobras, they're really cool, but I know they're the bad guys. But the G.I. Joe dudes look cool too, but they're basic dudes. They look goofy, man. I was like, they suck. The Cobras, though, they look cool, man. But cool cat. Oh, what is this one's name?
Oh,
This one's Trix.
Trix?
I
That's
have-
a pretty cat.
I have 10 cats, and so
10 cats?
Man.
Kiem last night, when we were taking him back to the house, he was saying that his goal is to become an old cat lady.
same.
I said, well, you're very young. You have a long ways to go. But he's got like 3 cats, right? So he's got to start, you know. So,
Thank you
that's
for having
cool,
me.
man. I'm a
Really
cat lover and a
appreciate it.
dog lover.
I love you guys.
Yeah. Oh, see, Tyler's got his cat there. What is this one's name? What is that
He
one?
just
Oh, he's a
popped
big
up.
boy.
This is Lotto.
Lotto? Look at him. He's looking around, too.
So his name is Side in Spanish.
Yeah. Everybody's asking about the animal skins on your wall there. Tyler, what is that?
I have an elk behind me, and then there's a deer on the wall.
Wow. That is the lovely room of death.
Yeah. Yep.
It's bulky, but I guess you consider it carry on.
It's all cozy.
Alrighty then. Well, I don't judge. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming on. You got some nice pets there. We'll see you guys. I want to see you again Sunday, and I'll see you Tuesday, Tyler.
Right on, man.
All right,
Looking
man.
forward to it.
Yes, I can't wait. Tyler's got some really cool stuff. You need to check it out. You need to come Tuesday, show up, and we'll talk for sure. I'm gonna let you run, Psyche.
Thank you.
I'm glad you got away from the. You know, that you didn't get taken down. That was.
Me too. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. I'll hope to see you later. Okay.
Before you run, you know, there's a meme where there's like. I remember it was a meme where there was like your friend gets in the car and he's like, "I loved her, man," as he's going like 120.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, "Whoa, who? What's up? Oh, hey." Yeah, I had a friend do that to me. He was just like, "Man, so mad at her, man. I could just kill myself." And I'm like, can we stop at the Circle K first? I'm gonna run in and get you some cigarettes.
Can you reschedule this whole killing your?
Then you can go into the lake without me. I'll be praying for you over here. I just don't want to be a part of this downfall, you know. But yeah, so at least you didn't get taken down. That's the good thing, right?
Yeah. I mean.
All right, guys.
Love you. Thank
I'll
you.
see you. All right. Good night to the kitty cats too.
Good night.
All right. Good
Love
night.
you.
All right, Tyler. I'll see you on Tuesday, man.
All right,
All
guys.
right, Lotto. I'll see you.
Have a good night.
All right. So that PRT is, you know, you see that we didn't have anything planned, and we just said to heck with it. You know, we have good audience here. Let's have them call in and you know, somebody gets on and starts talking crazy, we'll just talk crazy with them, or we'll just click them off. It's not like, just do what you got to do. So that was good. We had a good a Saturday show. You know,
it was fun.
The reason we haven't been back on Rumble because the app has been so glitchy and jacked up. I did not want anybody to be left out and being like, I can't do this because of the app. So we're hoping that it'll get worked out and then we'll get back on there. Joanne Hartnett, love her. She's a sweetheart. She says, peace, love, and light. Good night, everyone. Travel safely out there to all those who have to travel. Yes. Titoe always coming through at the very end there. We love you too, Amy Creel, Maddie, Missy Bash. And Missy, we're going to get this straightened out. The people who we were doing business with, which I don't know how much longer that's going to be, because I can't have my people not getting their stuff. But they claim that you and Here Day were sent packages. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, it will send you some more, and we'll have to, if we have to ship it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to say this: we did let Tony do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there again, he's probably at home going, "Well, blame Tony," but shit happens, and it does with Tony. Okay.
It's usually a safe bet when you blame Tony. 9 times out of 10, you're probably right.
Here's the thing, though. When he works a lot, he becomes real absent-minded because he needs like 12 hours of sleep. Where Anthony needs like 6 or 7. I need 4 or 5. He's just like, I've only been asleep for 11 hours. This day's going to suck for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So. And then they'll be like, well, he needs to be on some kind of medication because he's got the, African sleeping sickness or whatever it is they have. And I said, no. And then of course they'll be like, what's better for us is if you're all on medication.
Yes, parasites.
Yeah. Like, of course it is. Of course you want us to all be on medication, Doctor Who. Whatever. That's not going to happen. But thank you for tuning in, folks. We love 86 is like a teenager. Exactly. Calico says, I do blame Tony. Exactly. There we go. Let's get all on board.
A wise man.
Sue says, happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. Sue, we're going to be here tomorrow. So, but I think, Sue, aren't you might be in Australia, right? So it's already Father's Day over there, probably. Right? So, yeah, that's what we're happy early Father's Day. That's exactly right. To all the fathers out there. That's right. Read what Kate Finnerty put. Or I'll read it. And it says here, we're so grateful for the men in our kids' lives that step up as father figures and male role models. Josh, you're definitely one of them. Thank you. I actually did step up and raise 3. Well, I guess you could say 4. And then I had several godchildren that I helped raise too. But it says Anthony is tired. Are you tired?
No,
I'm tired. Been up all day. He slept in, but he needed it. He needed to rest. But we were at the gym until 6:30 this morning.
Yeah,
and then we had to come home, and I had to get on the phone and do a bunch of crap. I thought, you know what? I'm going to go home and go to sleep. No, it's like 8 o'clock, and I'm still sitting there messing with stuff, and I'm like, good grief, man! It never ends. It never ends. No, see, Spilling Tea caught you. She says, so Anthony is ignoring Wolf. Gotcha.
No, I was busy crunching on these delicious harvest snaps.
Did you see this?
On the sweet and spicy mango chili lime flavor, and they're so crunchy and delicious that I don't hear anything else when I'm munching on them. I'm trying to get sponsored. These are good, dude.
We get sponsors all the time, and you ignore them.
I'm trying to get sponsored from them, though.
Oh, okay. Free Richie says the Hindenburg, the fall of Rome. Did Tony have anything to do with these? No, but it makes you wonder. The Chicago fire, you know, whatever. Exactly. All right, so, Calico. There you go. The Titanic. Which one? That's another one. All right, folks. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's the big night. That's Sunday. That's when we have the big stuff. That we have the fun. You know what I mean? It's going to be the good stuff. All right, guys. I'm going to let you run. We will sing you out with what's it called? Where is it?
What are you trying to do?
There it is. We got it.